Well, the Leafs were in survival mode for basically the last 8 minutes of that third period. I mean, there's more to get into about what happened throughout the 60, but you want to look at the final score, where they were at, 10 minutes left in that game, and then how the ice started to tilt. It was full-blown survival mode. The Vegas Golden Knights are a very good team. To have to play that long on the road, just trying to fight for your lives, it's not the position you want to be in, and eventually it's going to catch up to you, and it did here tonight. Bad penalty by Easton Cowan there in the third period that leads to a Vegas goal, 6 seconds left. Inability to clean some stuff up in your defensive zone, leaving some guys open. You get lucky with the Dorofeyev offside that gets called back, but then 7 seconds left. Hurdle ties the game. You're going to overtime. And it's easy to say as the guy on the couch watching the game, but I think anybody who's played the game, anybody who's been through it or been around the game for a long time knows in situations or in certain situations, you do have to be aware of shot selection and maybe 3-on-3 when you're down low and you've got a guy even with you in the zone and you're not necessarily out there with guys who have the most legs under them at that point, who are deeper into a shift, shooting it high and wide around the glass to go back the other way on an odd man rush, back down the other end. Might be some poor timing from Morgan Rielly on that one. What was looking to be an amazing night turned sour for the Toronto Maple Leafs and Toronto Maple Leafs fans alike. We'll break it all down here tonight on the Leafs Nation After Dark, breaking down Game 47 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season as they fall in overtime to the Vegas Golden Knights. And to kick it off here, to help us break this one down, let's bring in our guy covering the Maple Leafs for the Hockey Hot Stove, Mike in Buffalo. Mike, I don't even want to ask how you're feeling tonight. Just what's going on right now? What is going on after this Maple Leafs loss?
The Maple Leafs are insufferable. They really are. I think they've dragged their fan base back into a place where they could start to care, with the 7-1-2 record. I think they would have, I think everybody forgave them for the schedule loss against Utah, because it was back to back. They emptied their hearts out against Colorado. One bad goal, or one great goal, by Dylan Guenther, and I think they just basically quit at that point. But this is the game that, the tables were reversed. Vegas played in LA last night.
Yep.
So they're second of back-to-back with putting in a goaltender who hadn't played since October 20th. They get up. Every time Vegas climbs within a goal, they score a goal to make it 2 goals. And then they go into the defensive shell in the third period, which is death. And this team, as they're currently constructed, without a Tanev, without a couple shutdown defenders, they can't shut down the lead. They don't have enough good defensive players to do that. And if you look at the lineup that was out there when Hurdle scored the tying goal, it was Nyes, it was Matthews, and it was Tavares. I'm assuming because they needed somebody for the face-off in case. But John Tavares is not a great defensive player. So I don't know if Lawton should have been out there. I don't know. But if you watch that play, Hurdle was standing in the slot completely untouched. That's the guy that should be touched. You leave the guys to the side away, but they left the guy right in front of the net that Eichel passed it to with a deflection. It's a horrible loss.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of positive tonight. The whole game is not just entirely negative to be taken away from, and I think that this is the one you were expecting them to come out and go pedal to the metal and be able to take a win away, especially when you start the game the way you did. I'm not going to give them the excuse because you played enough of the game and showed enough of being able to be like, hey, we can figure this out without him, and you did it through a long period of time, but you lose Nylander early, and what's unfortunate too, Mike, is this is the game William Nylander is going. Mike Johnson pointed it out on the broadcast, but it was, I don't know if you caught, or if you get the broadcast that we had here, but it's a good point, and it's like you can tell William Nylander is going to have a good night by the way he's kind of hounding pucks and chasing guys down early in a game, and this was one of those good William Nylander nights. You unfortunately lose him off of a fucking stupid thing early on where it seems like he wobbles when he's celebrating his goal and he's off, and like I don't blame him. It's not like he did anything stupid on that one, so it's not like, oh wow, what the hell are you doing? He just catches an edge and hurts the ankle that he had already hurt, but you lose him. What's frustrating to me is exactly what you pointed out, and it's what I thought this team had gotten rid of and gotten away from, and it's playing your game and forcing the other team to deal with it. I thought they did a great job of that over the last 3 weeks or so here, basically since December 23rd. I thought they did a great job of that against Colorado. I know that game gets tied up and it goes to overtime, but even in that one, it felt like the Leafs were just like, we are going to show up here and play Maple Leafs hockey. We're going to play the style we played effectively after that first 5 minutes against Colorado, and we're going to play it all the way through the rest of the game, and we'll figure it out from there. And it's like the Leafs showed up in this one tonight from the get-go, and we're like, we're going to play this style. Can you handle it? And they played that way all the way until the end, and basically by the time you got to the third period, it was just like, let's hang on to this thing. And I just, that's what I don't understand, whether it was a coaching decision to say, hey, let's park the bus and play on our heels, if it's the guys just mentally letting off the gas. I don't know what that decision was, but that's unacceptable, man. Like, you cannot have that, and that's going back to stuff you've seen. That's patterns you've seen from this team years now of this group of like, get up in a game against the good team and let's just hope we can get through this. You can't do that. As you pointed out, you're missing a key guy, I should say, in Chris Tanev, who can eat those minutes. You're missing a key guy in William Nylander who can kind of like help you take advantage of breaks if you're going to get to go the other way and get up ice and get in transition. But you can't just sit there and be like, let's fucking hang on to this. You have to play go, go, go. And you were successful until that point. You were up 5-3 in this one, playing that brand of hockey. And then you let off the gas, and it's game over. The Vegas Golden Knights find a way to claw back in this one. And next thing you know, you're walking home with only 1 point from tonight, and Mitch Marner gets to go home and do all his post-game interviews and talk about how happy he is after this, and you're going to be left with your tail between your legs because you gave up a point that you should have had in this game tonight.
Yeah, Lawton scores the goal with 11 minutes and 2 seconds left to go in the third period.
Yeah.
You have a 2-goal lead with 11 minutes to go. Against the team that has won 5 games in a row, that's red hot with Stone and Eichel and Hurdle and Dorofeev, who had a night, and 93. You cannot sit back. Of course, if this is revisionist history, if they win the game 6-3 or 6-4, nobody's complaining about this, but they didn't. And that's the point. The point is that no lead, we used to say when the Leafs would score a goal late in the third period a few years ago, when they seemed to have a penchant for scoring that goal with the empty net, you would say the Leafs, no lead was safe with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Well, that's the case, but it's in the opposite now because they have a lead in the third period and you don't feel safe because honestly, they're a haphazard defensive team.
It's really unfortunate too, because this is one of those nights. I mean, you messaged me during the game. I agree with you completely. And it's Joseph Woll couldn't come up with the big save in this. And I don't think that the blame of this loss lands at the feet of Joseph Woll. I don't think you walk away and say, hey, this was Joseph Woll's fault. If he's better, this is a win. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that in a game like this tonight, the Leafs decide, hey, we're going to hang back. We're going to go into this defensive shell and try to just survive for, I put it on like 8 minutes. I think that was basically when it just started to feel like this was Vegas, all the time throughout the remainder of that third period. But you pretty much said, hey, we're going to go back. We're going to try to just survive through this one. And you unfortunately just had a night from Joseph Woll that he wasn't able to make that extra save. Like, yes, there were some dangerous opportunities from Vegas, fair enough, but there were a couple of goals scored that you look at in this one and just go, how? Why? I mean, I look at the third period power play goal scored by Dorofeyev 6 seconds into that power play. Yes, bad penalty by Easton Cowan, 100%. But, you know, Lorentz tries to get there with his stick off the rebound off the wall, just short, which, you know, you can't blame him in that situation. You know he's the forward coming back down to the goal line to try to help to support. But Dorofeyev is effectively just one hand poking that one in behind Joseph Woll because he misplays it and misreads it off the wall. Like, there's one there. The hurdle one I don't think is that egregious, but it's like, there's a moment he could have just come up with a big left leg save with 7 seconds left, overextend on that one, and he doesn't. There were just a few too many tonight, Mike, where Joseph Woll just didn't have that save in him to help these guys out, to bail these guys out in some of those situations, and it's a bad night when you talk about the combinations of some of the mistakes that were made mentally, some of the mistakes that were made defensively, and then Joseph Woll not able to kind of erase some of those in this one.
Well, the one Dorofeyev goal where Marner drew in from the point, and I don't know if he purposely shot it wide because he saw Dorofeyev wide open on to the left of the net, but that was the result. It went wide, it hit off the backboards. Dorofeyev is right there, went right to him, and Woll didn't have the post covered. I mean, I'm not blaming Woll. The loss was a general defensive breakdown by this team. One thing that, you know, and it may sound like sour grapes, but the thing that drove me crazy was on the Stone goal where he goes wide. He puts it under, basically underneath Woll's pads. The puck disappears. It is frozen. 9 times out of 10, the referee's going to blow that play dead. Instead, it gets kicked loose, and because he's outside of the crease, he's fair game. The puck comes loose and it gets buried. And it's like, I mean, I'm sorry that's an absolutely ridiculous non-whistle there. And honestly, on the goal that was waved off or negated because of the offside, if you watch the replay, Troy Stecher jumps from the right side of the blue line, jumps up into the neutral zone and gets caught, and that creates the odd man break. It goes the other way. I mean, so there were some brain crampish things going on in this game that I don't understand, especially from veteran players. I can forgive Cowan because he's a rookie and he made a rookie mistake. It was a careless high stick, but veteran players who are experienced making mistakes that cost this team a point. And in this Eastern Conference where it is so damn tight, these points matter.
Yeah, they matter so much. You know, it was what frustrated me about the Detroit loss a couple of weeks ago. It's what frustrated me about the Islanders loss there as well. It's games you have a handle on in regulation that you find a way to let slip. You find a way, you know, and people come here to the postgame and get mad that I'm frustrated about losses in those situations. Well, you're sitting there blowing points in a division and in a conference, I guess, because you're competing for a wild card right now, but in a conference, I guess, that it just everybody around you picks up points every single night. Everybody is picking up points. You can't afford to lose these ones where you are sitting there just grabbing one when you should have had two. If you were the one that forced this to OT, sure, maybe I could have a different outlook on this and say, hey, good on you. You battled back. You got it with 7 seconds. You picked up a point in that. But it's not the case, Mike. It's not the case, and it's really frustrating. I think a guy that's really frustrating Leafs fans right now as well is Morgan Rielly. I don't know if you agreed with my opening statement about the shot. I get that you're kind of in a position there where if he hits the net and he scores, you know, you never even think about it. You don't talk about it, but it's one of those ones where it's like, you always, as a kid growing up, this isn't high level stuff. This is a situational awareness. You're down low in the zone. You've got everyone below the top of the circles except one Vegas Golden Knights player, and you ring
Right.
that thing high and wide, like there has to be a little bit of situational awareness. That one ends up leading to the overtime goal down the other
Yeah.
way on an odd man. Of course, he makes a good play and breaks it up, but then it's Mark Stone who hits Jack Eichel coming down the middle and buries it. Morgan Rielly walks away from this one. Has a goal, looks good early, finishes even on the night here. What'd you make of Morgan Rielly's play? Because a lot of people in the chat right now are very furious with number 44 following this one.
It's a double-edged sword with him. I mean, he scored the goal early, and then he made a good defensive play on a 2-on-1. I think it was on Stone that he stopped the puck and it went the other way. So I mean, there were positives there, but yeah, everybody's seeing
Yep.
red right now. It's like the bull in the Warner Brothers cartoon with Bugs Bunny. All he sees is red. When he sees Bugs Bunny, he wants to run him through the wall. And that's what everybody thinks of Morgan Rielly right now. But I hate to tell you, folks, he's the best you got. You know, he's the best defenseman you have, the best offensive defenseman you have. You cannot play Oliver Ekman-Larsson 25, 26 minutes. You know, I mean, he has to play. And I think he's been more effective with Brandon Carlo since he came back than
Yep.
when he was playing with, Philippe Myers, God forbid. But, this is the problem here. This team is 2 points out of a wild card spot, and their road record is 7-11-3. The only team in the league that has a worse road record is the St. Louis Blues, who have a minus 44 goal differential. I don't know what the mental block is with the Maple Leafs when it comes to playing on the road, but this is not the same team as last year, and it's not Mitch Marner. It's not the difference of Mitch Marner. Last year, they had the fourth best road record in the NHL, and this year they have the second worst. If they miss the playoffs, it's going to be because of that.
Well, and to your point, the one thing too, and it goes back to it, and I can't figure out why. And maybe if they were playing this way, obviously this is a loss here tonight, but still, I would say in general it was a better game. We're just holding them to a different standard here now, where we're expecting them to be able to come through and win these games and play these better games, because this is a different style, brand, level of intensity than what we saw for probably the first 30. But as pointed out in the chat, there's a huge difference here, and as pointed out in the broadcast as well. Last year, how many games do they get leads, whether it's coming out of the second period or early in the first period, and you're basically able to hold on to it? And it's not necessarily just playing shut it down, let's hold on to this thing till we get to the end, park the bus, but you were able to clean things up, get through 60 minutes with wins if you got up in a game. This season, it's felt like the complete opposite all the way through, and that's got to change. And again, to your point, it's not a Mitch Marner thing. It's not him being gone that changes this or causes this. But it's got to figure itself out here ASAP, because if you have any expectations of making the playoffs, I think you put yourself in the best position to do so by being in a playoff spot by the Olympic break. And as it stands right now, you're going to be on the outside looking in. And if you can't figure things out defensively, if you can't figure things out in terms of closing out games, I don't feel that positive about your ability to get and hang on to a playoff spot, because this could just be, a smaller scale situation of what's happening in bigger picture, where you could maybe get yourself there, but can you hang on to the points? Can you hang on to the spot? I'm not sure that they have the resiliency to maybe do so at this point.
Well, I mean, a couple tendencies I saw tonight that really troubled me. I mean, it was a nice pass that Matthew Knies made to Scott Lawton on the goal that gave him a 2-goal lead.
Yep.
But I saw Knies was pass first all night. I mean, yeah, okay, it was great that he made the pass to Michelli and it was deflected by Tavares on the power play. But in certain circumstances, right before the Lawton goal, he had a clear chance and he passed the puck. And it's like, when you're close in like that, you need to bury it. You don't need to dish. I know the tendency in this league is to try to pass the puck into the net, to, find the open guy for the one-timer, for the uncontested goal. Sometimes you just need to go to the net and bury it. And, that's a tendency with Knies. They need Knies to score 30 goals. And right now, I don't know. I don't think he's going to reach that mark. The other thing is, maybe the only Marner effect is that this team is consciously trying to generate offense more by taking more chances, because maybe with Marner, the goals came on the power play and 5-on-5 more naturally. They're taking more offensive chances, and teams are taking advantage of that. And they're exposing their goaltenders, and they're exposing their defense. And their defense does not have Chris Tanev. And he's a 20-minute a night right shot shutdown defenseman, and they really miss him. And I'm telling you right now, all these rumors about Dougie Hamilton, give me a break. Dougie Hamilton is a terrible defensive defenseman. He is worse defensively than Morgan Rielly. The one benefit with him is he's right-handed. So, but I'm sorry. Like, okay, are you going to bring him in to replace Troy Stetcher? It's a need that, they're saying right now he would be the one who replaces Tanev, but you'd have to shut down Tanev for the rest of the year on season-ending LTIR to open up the space. I just don't see Hamilton as a viable point man on the power play. He's got a better shot, but he can't move anymore. That's the problem. This is not the Dougie Hamilton that played for Boston. This is not the Dougie Hamilton that Brad Treliving traded for in Calgary, or the one who played in Carolina, or even the one who played the first year in New Jersey when I think he had 22 goals. This guy is broken down, and he's had so many injuries. Trading for him makes absolutely no sense, and hopefully Brad Treliving doesn't have Dougie Hamilton blinders on.
I agree with you. That I was talking about that one earlier today, about a fit or a trade, and the guy that's out there that would be linked to the Leafs and guys that they could be interested in. I just kept saying the problem with Dougie Hamilton is, if he's not, and Ryan Whitney joined Leafs Morning Take today yesterday, and he effectively was saying very similar, if not the same thing as what you're saying, is that he can provide you a ton of offense if he's playing really well and he can run your power play, but what if he's not? He's just a big guy who's not physical and not very good defensively, which is also... And it's not necessarily that you think about the fan base when you make trades or anything like that, but that's the type of player that this fan base hates more than anything. A big guy who won't play physical. Point to Frederick Gauthier, point to Justin Hall, point to Nick Ritchie. Like down the line, there's guys who came here who just didn't play that way that everybody expected. And it just... There you go. So, and it just drives people up a wall. That's a guy who could fit into that. Like, if it's not clicking at 100% offensively for Dougie Hamilton, what does he do? And I don't think he accomplishes what you need. So I'm with you on that. But you brought up Chris Tanev being out. I think the guy who struggled the most with him being out right now, and I would explore finding a way to shuffle and rejig your defensive pairings, which I know Craig Berube has done throughout games. But, Mike, I looked at the McCabe Stetcher pairing and the ground that they were kind of starting to find there and how they were playing together. And I thought we really had something in that pair, because in my brain, I was expecting Chris Tanev to be out for a bit. He returns and McCabe and Tanev look really good together. Again, no surprise to anybody, obviously, in that situation, but Tanev goes out, Brandon Carlo comes back, and instead of going back to Troy Stetcher and Jake McCabe, the coaching staff seemed to make the decision here that they were going to fit Oliver Ekman-Larsson in alongside Jake McCabe. And I'm not saying this to put blame on Oliver Ekman-Larsson. I don't think he's been a problem. I think he's actually continued to play well, but I don't think it helps Jake McCabe. And I think you could see that in his play. I think you can see that in the stats. Had a tough night against the Utah Mammoth on Tuesday night. I don't think he played the best game against the Colorado Avalanche on Monday. He played well. Everybody in the team played well, but not like Jake McCabe's greatest game as a Maple Leaf. And then he struggles here tonight as well. -2 on the night against Vegas. A couple early penalties for Jake McCabe against Vegas as well. I thought it was a tough night, and I think that the pairing that he's playing on with OEL
just doesn't suit him. I don't think it helps him very much. And I just can't understand. I can't wrap my head around why they won't go back to Troy Stecher and Jake McCabe. It doesn't make sense to me, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is that in their minds, they think Troy Stecher is a perfect third pairing defenseman, and only playing up in the lineup in the top four is a sort of break glass in case of situation. I mean, I agree with you when it comes to McCabe, because I mean, if you've seen it, when he struggles the most, when he has to move over to the right side to play with Simone Benoit, which he did effectively a couple years ago, but now it doesn't seem to work because I think he's weak on the right side. He's better at the left side, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson is better on the left side. So having him play the right side with McCabe, I think McCabe has, psychologically is overcompensating when he's playing with somebody he doesn't trust. He trusted Tanev. That was a great pairing. I think they were forced into the Stecher pairing, and he learned a level of trust with him because he knows where he's going to be. But when it comes to Benoit, and he's playing on the offside, or if he's playing with Oliver Ekman-Larsson, there's not that comfort zone there. If you're talking about a trade, if Brad Treliving is looking to make a trade to bolster the blue line, and you don't want to waste all your cap space, then go out and get Luke Shen for a low-round draft pick, because honestly, I think him as a physical third-pairing defenseman is a better fit. You can get, maybe you can dump Philippe Myers on Winnipeg if you have to clear cap space, but Luke Shen is a better fit in terms of what they need on the blue line than Dougie Hamilton. I'm sorry. The point, if you could find a power play quarterback out there, God bless. But Dougie Hamilton's not it. And I think if they need to spend some of their cap space and some of their assets at the deadline, it's more needed as for a forward who can score than it is for a defenseman.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think you've at least found something with the guys you have. Obviously, you'd like to upgrade over Phil Myers. You'd like to upgrade over Simone Benoit. But, if you could find a forward, I think that helps. I just don't know that this team should be going and desperately taking a swing at somebody as of right now anyways. Right. Mike, one final thing for you here before I let you go. I've got another guest coming up in a moment. He's coming live from T-Mobile Arena, but we haven't talked about this 28 minutes into the show tonight, and I mean, I'm kind of surprised we've not gotten there, but I guess there is some pretty important shit that's happened in this game anyways. This was the Mitch Marner revenge game, if you want to call it that. It was the first time the Maple Leafs face off against Mitch Marner since he left in the offseason. He finishes with 2 assists, 3 shots on goal. He's even on the night. He played 22 minutes and 23 seconds of ice time, third most of all Vegas forwards. I mean, I just want to get final thoughts from you on the Marner revenge game, if we call it that, here tonight against the Leafs. What'd you make of his game tonight? What'd you make of how the Leafs played him? And I just also, I guess, throw in there the Boo Birds that we saw. I wasn't really expecting that on home ice.
Yeah, well, because there were a lot of Leaf fans there, and I'm telling you right now, I will be shocked if he does not get a Tavares light type reception when he comes to Scotiabank Arena, and I think it's the 23rd. I mean, I didn't buy into the revenge game here because it's in Vegas. And they faced him for the first time. I thought that his game was typical Marner. He was on the outside. He was on the periphery. He didn't go to the dirty areas, but he's creative, of course. But, I didn't think it was a particularly impactful game, but I mean, he's a great player. He's a very skilled player. He's just not going to show up for them when it counts. But the game in Toronto is the revenge game. And I'm not saying somebody's going to take a run at him, because nobody's going to do that. He's got friends on the team. But I will like to see the reaction of him getting booed every time he touches the puck. It'll be Brad Marchand-like. It'll be Tavares-like. And, they won't be throwing jerseys or burning anything or rolling over jerseys with construction vehicles or anything like that. But he's going to get a reception. And it's not going to be the positive Matt Sundin in 2009. There were some boos that night because I was there, but I think he's going to get a round of booze that night, and I'll be very, very curious. I mean, of course they're going to do the video. They always do the video, and he'll probably get some applause there. But I will be very interested in seeing how he reacts to being viscerally booed by the fans that cheered for him for 9 years.
I don't think he'll take it very well if we know anything about the guy and how he responded to anything that happened here in Toronto. Inability to take accountability, exaggerating stories, just all that kind of stuff in terms of his tenure as a Maple Leaf. I can't imagine he'll receive that very well. No. But Mike, thank you for taking the time to do this here tonight. Unfortunate that it comes off the hands of a Maple Leafs loss, but appreciate it as always. Make sure to check out Mike's stuff at Hockey Hot Stove. Enjoy the rest of your nights if you can. Put this one behind you. We'll get an opportunity to get it back next Friday.
Nice talking to you, Zach. Thanks.
All right. There you go. Mike from Buffalo. With that, we're going to get to our next guest. He's standing by from T-Mobile Arena. Glad to have him call into the show here tonight. I know he's not got all the time in the world here, so we'll get some quick thoughts about what we just saw out there in Las Vegas. As we do, just a reminder to everybody, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. Want to get your thoughts in, send in those super chats. Proceeds from our super chat do go to Sick Kids Charity, so make sure to send those. I will read and answer all the questions that come in. But let's welcome to the show Nick Alberga, live from T-Mobile Arena. Alberga, how's it going tonight, buddy?
Hey, buddy. Apologies for my framing. It's going well. A little disappointed by the end result, but here we are. At least they got a point, right? How are you?
I guess at least they got a point. It's frustrating that this had to happen in terms of losing it like that, where you were holding on to the lead, and then it goes and slips out of your hands with 7 seconds left. But I mean, I guess on the bright side, if you want to look at it that way, they did walk away with a point. So sure, that's all right. You got 3 of a possible 6 on this road trip. But I want to ask you some specifics about this game. So let's start with the big one. This is all hyped up, the Mitch Marner revenge game. You and I think we're more on the same page. I watched Leafs Morning Take today, and you talked about the Boo Birds and the reaction you would get, etc. I was more in line with you than Dave. I was not expecting myself. I was not expecting myself to hear boos in Vegas. I know there's a lot of Leafs fans driving around or flying around following this team on this trip right now, but for him to touch the puck every time at home and get booed was not on my bingo card. I will say that.
The power of Leafs Nation, right? And I would say the atmosphere in the building was pretty electric. The atmosphere outside, like I showed up pretty early, an hour and a half before, just to really soak in the atmosphere, like how often you get games like this. And I think you're right. The big one's next week, next Friday at Scotiabank Arena. But I mean, you from a hockey perspective and a fan perspective, you can't ask for much more. I know the result wasn't on the Maple Leaf side, but dude, that was a really entertaining game. I mean, defense optional, some really nice goals, some great speed. Had a bit of everything. We saw Matthews score, Marner picks up a couple points, so many layers to that game. But I think the atmosphere, for me, is what made it. And I think it just proved again why we have the best fan base in the NHL. They travel really, really well, a lot of blue and white. And I think it's a pretty significant statement to go in a building, a team that just won the Stanley Cup at 2023. And very noticeable, the boos. I'm sure it was the same on TV, but watching here in person, it just showed you a lot of Leafs fans in the building for this one. Great to see.
Yeah, that is good to see, and it definitely is a testament to Leafs Nation and how well they travel. I guess it's also kind of a sign of things to come next Friday when things come back home, because if you're going to go into an away barn and boo that loudly, I think there was a lot of questions about how this would be received by Leafs Nation, but to do it on the road like that, I think sends enough of a message, in my opinion at least, about what will happen on next Friday. Let's go into this a little bit before I ask you some Leafs stuff. I asked Mike from Buffalo there his thoughts on this side of things tonight, but let's just go into it because they played him. You got to talk about it. Mitch Marner's game. He finishes with 2 assists here tonight. He did have an assist on the game tire that ended up getting called back, the Dorofeyev goal. But what'd you make of Mitch Marner's game against the Maple Leafs? And I guess, how they handled him or it tried to contain him in this one, Nick.
I mean, for me, I don't know if it was the same for you. It was like the prototypical Marner game that we've seen so many times in Toronto, right? Like, I think last time I checked, both his points came via the power play or with an extra man. Like, taking nothing away from him, I didn't really notice him out there. He is the second line center of this team, so a lot more heavy lifting in that type of position, not as much playmaking. He's running the power play as we saw tonight, but it was a lot of what we've seen in the past. I mean, he is an elite point producer, and that's exactly what we saw in this game. But I'll be honest, I probably count on a couple hands. I have two hands, but like he didn't have the puck a lot. Like it's honestly it's interesting when you look at this game. Like who stood out? Jack Eichel, phenomenal. Pavel Dorofeyev, phenomenal. Austin Matthews had a strong night. I thought Max Domi was really, really good in this game.
Yeah.
Marner probably wasn't in my top 5 of players I really, really noticed, but you got to credit him, man. He got the job done. He got a couple of big time points, and I think discipline was a big, point of contention tonight. Just did the scrum with Craig Berube, and he brought up that needless penalty in the third period that leads to the offense from the Golden Knights. And we're going to talk about it all season long, and the PK's really bailed this team out the last little while, but to me, that's your story, is just a lack of discipline. And it was just really bizarre, too, where it's Vegas playing on the back-to-back, but I thought the Leafs got weaker as the night went on. Like, I thought they looked fatigued in the second half of that game, and it doesn't help. OEL misses extended time in the second period, or at least to start it. Nylander takes a couple shifts, gets 1-on-1, see you later. So the bench was shortened. It's been a pretty long and grueling road trip in terms of miles and hours slept and, time difference. I get that. I don't really want to make excuses. They lost this game, but it wasn't like the traditional prototypical like defensive effort that we've been accustomed to seeing from this Leafs team. And I think you got to, tip your cap as well to the Golden Knights. They brought it. They scored some big time goals, but to me, that was the difference in the game. Just a lack of discipline there in the third period.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too. It's a good point you brought up. The lack of discipline and then also them getting tired as it went on. I think they kind of just did themselves no favors, and probably being tired leads to some of that lack of discipline, right? I think some of it is just you get chasing, you get behind a little bit, now all of a sudden you do something dumb, you take a hooking penalty, you take a high stick in a situation where maybe you would have just won the race anyways, or you would have been the first guy in there and gone and got the puck. It's a good point brought up by you, and I mean, you can't give excuses to it, but it does suck. I brought it up with Mike that William Nylander leaves this game early because it's something that Mike Johnson brings up all the time. You can tell 1 or 2 shifts into a game if William Nylander is going to be engaged and how he's going to perform. And on his first shift of the game, he's hounding back checks, stick lifting guys, and turning pucks over in transition. And he scores a goal. He gets the assist on the Rielly one. He looks really good, and he's gone because of a fucking celebration. He gets caught in a rut, and his ankle goes, and all of a sudden he re-aggravates the injury that he previously had. Very, very unfortunate there. It just seemed like a Leafy thing to happen tonight. I don't know, man. It's really frustrating though that in this game it just felt like they got away from their style of play. If I'm going to say their style of play, I'm more so talking about how they've played for 3 weeks and how they played against Colorado. Would you just chalk that up to fatigue in the third period and that's why this ended up happening? Or would you be more inclined to suggest that they kind of mentally took their foot off the gas in this one and said, hey, let's just try to hang on to this, because it was all Vegas all the time for basically like the last 8-9 minutes of this game?
I think they were too fired up for this game, if that makes sense. Like, it was not the game I expected. I expected your prototypical low-scoring, bogged down, tight defensively, and we got the exact opposite. Like, I can't recall one after-the-whistle scrum or one massive hit or
good point.
Any sort of like it really felt like an all-star game, man. It was really weird. They traded chances. Like I didn't expect that from a Leafs team that's really grown into their identity the last little while. And the same goes for Vegas. Like I came to the rink today thinking it was going to be a 3-2, 4-2 type game. And then all hell broke loose where it's the Maple Leafs get the lead. And that's been a big story with this team the last couple of years, is their ability to solidify things. And as you said in our group chat, they're given a gift there late in the third period after tying the game, and the hats come on the ice for Dorofiev. Then they call it back, and a great call by the video coaches, but then you surrender the tying goal. And then you really notice not having Nylander, Zach, in OT. Like when you're putting Matthias Michelli over the boards, like you're starting to get deep into your roster. And I think that's the most noticeable thing is a guy like Nylander would be owning that ice in OT. But you're so right. Getting back to the ultimate point, he was going tonight. I thought Nylander was buzzing, gets 1-1 again. He's out of the game. And very weird looking play. But we're almost at a point in time where you start to wonder about the Olympics and how those conversations go with the Maple Leafs and Willie. And hey, maybe, maybe you shouldn't go to the Olympics. Maybe we're chasing something greater with this team. I think that's my fascination now. Just reading in between the lines of what Craig Berube had to say after the game, re-aggravated the same injury, which tells you I don't think he's playing in Winnipeg on Saturday and probably could miss some time. And next thing you know, we're only a couple weeks out from the Olympics here. So that's my bigger question here.
Yeah, I mean, if I know anything about these guys and what we've seen from them, it seems like they have a tendency to go to these or want to go to these events. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him there no matter what. But yeah, dude, I don't know. That's a frustrating one. I want to ask you about Joseph Woll's night. I said already here, I don't put this game at the hands of Joseph Woll. I think the team in front of him had some huge gaffes, especially in that third period, and made some dumb decisions that led to some prime Vegas opportunities or just some waves of attack that they basically were fighting for their lives to get out of. But I thought Joseph Woll had some moments where he could have come up with a save that he just didn't, or some moments that you expect him to come up with a save based on the body of work he seemed to put together this year, and at least in his last 11 games, I think the stat was that they showed, and how well he's been in those. I thought that they didn't necessarily get the support in between the pipes that they've been accustomed to over the last little while.
I agree. And conversely, the Vic Paladian turning point in this game happens when Aiden Hill stones Bob McMahon. Like he scores that, and it's a 4-1 hockey game. Right away when that happened, in my mind mentally, I'm like, circle that, because if the Leafs don't win this game, I'm going to look back. And I think it's fair to bring up, like, it was 3-1 at that point. They had all the momentum. I thought it was a great response after Vegas scores. They come right back, and then McMahon's got the 4-1 goal on his stick, and I don't know what Hill was doing. It's his bobblehead night. He came back maybe a bit prematurely. I didn't think he was great himself, but that's the heart of a Lion. That's the heart of a champion. He won a Stanley Cup. Like, that's a game-changing save by Aiden Hill, and to me, that's probably not going to be spoken about enough after this game, but he doesn't make that save. I think it's over. I mean, you never say never with the way this game transpired, but 4-1 is a pretty hefty lead the way the Maple Leafs were playing, and Vegas is on the back-to-back. Maybe they just pack it in at that point in time.
Yeah, 4-1 early, you're probably expecting the end of Aiden Hill's night. You're maybe expecting a dejected Golden Knights team. You can keep pouring on the offense. It was a fun, exciting game of hockey. Not much defense, not much goaltending being played all the way around. I'll get you out of here.
Let me hit on Wall, though. Sorry, I didn't hit on Wall. I know you asked me about Wall, so let me just hit on that quickly. I would tend to agree. Like, I don't look back at this game or even the Utah game and place blame on the goaltending. Again, I thought the Maple Leafs looked rather fatigued in the second half of the game. I will say, like, I noticed, I was just in the room, like, Joseph Woll, it took him a long time to undress. Like, I think this loss hit him hard. I think every goalie wants to be perfect, and unfortunately they're not. And I think it's so easy to blame the D in front of you. But I think, again, getting back full circle to the conversation we just had, like, sometimes it's the timeliness of your saves, and they couldn't get that big save from Joseph Woll in this game. By no means am I placing blame on Woll for this one.
No, again, that's more the point I'm just trying to get across. I think you and I are on the same page of this. Sure. It's just like, sometimes you could get a little bit of help from your goaltender, and when he finishes the night with an .818 save percentage, it's not the ideal night. You put up 5 goals. Defensively, there were some tough moments, but you put up 5 goals. I wanna get out of here on this. You went in the room. You listened to the guys, you heard all the scrums, you saw everybody's faces after this one, or most people's faces after this one. What is the vibe like in that Maple Leafs room coming out of this loss? Because everything you see online right now is how fired up the Vegas Golden Knights were. Quote coming out from Jack Eichel is that they knew how much this meant to, he's doing the perfect team game thing here tonight, which is also fucking... You know what? I know you've got a short period of time, and I don't want to take up forever, but I got to just jump in here on something. He said this quote, and it kind of pissed me off. I read it just a couple of moments ago before you came on. He said, we knew how much it meant to Mitch, and which means it means a lot to us. I think that's a great quote from Eichel. And at the same time, fuck off with that shit. I mean, this guy played here for so long, had so many moments to do that for other people here when he was a Maple Leaf, and just fucking never did. He fucking backstabbed the organization. When I say backstabbed, I mean like his there's reports that his fucking parents were on the West Coast road trip house shopping last season while he was still a Maple Leaf. He knew he was leaving. He blocked trades. He didn't want to come. Like, fuck that guy. I get it from a Vegas standpoint. I can understand why they're happy to have him and yada, yada, yada. That's great. Good for them. It just pisses me off to hear that. Anyways, I just need to get that out for a second. But what was the vibe like on the Leafs side of things following this loss? Is it long faces, dejected guys? Did it seem like guys who were like, hey, we'll get him next time? Just what was the overall just vibe in that room?
Yeah, I was dejected. I won't lie. Like, they pick up a point that's big, and I think you need all the points you can get right now in terms of the standings. And I'll add too, like, mark my words, I think the Leafs are going to win next Friday. They're going to return serve in this head-to-head here with Mr. Marner, but that's a story for next week. Yeah, I think you have to be dejected just by the way that game went, where you squandered multiple leads and you couldn't get that save, and you're given a gift there late in regulation and you still blow it, and 7 seconds left, and then OT was just chaos, and Eichel scores it. Like, it was one of those types of nights, and it's funny, it was like Lawton scores that goal, and I'm like, at that point, the Leafs had every answer in the game. Like, every time Vegas scored, the Leafs responded with an answer, and I spoke too soon because they didn't have an answer after Vegas got within one, and then they tied it, and then the Hats came on the ice, and then the goal came back, and then 7 seconds remaining, they just couldn't get the puck out. But that's what good teams do. They find a way to get the job done. Vegas is an excellent home team, and I'm right there with you. I mean, all the wording from the last couple days, and I think they just prove that whatever Marner said the last couple of days about not really thinking about this game, just utter bullshit. And it gets back to the whole conversation, why we're here to begin with, the transparency, the negativity, the defensiveness in the media. It's the same old song and dance, whatever. They got one more next Friday. And, I'll be curious to see how the crowd is in that game, considering what we saw on the road in Vegas tonight. Leafs fans are pretty fired up to see Marner out there.
All right, Nick, thanks for doing this. I appreciate you taking the time following the game. I know you're in a pretty fun city, so if you sitting down here for a couple of minutes and not jetting off to go enjoy yourself in Vegas is greatly appreciated, but I will dismiss you now. I will let you enjoy the remainder of the night that you have ahead of you. Make sure you're up tomorrow morning for Leafs Morning Take. Big guest for the boys, Luke Shen, jumping on. Pretty timely get. I wonder what Luke Shen could potentially have to do. I'm sure it's just because the Leafs are playing Winnipeg, right? That's the only reason you got him on?
Yeah, it's a tee-up. It's exactly what it is. It's a tee-up for the Leafs' final game of their 4-game road trip in Winnipeg on Saturday night. Thanks for having me. Believe it or not, I'm just headed back to my hotel and got the show early. Like, it's a different 8 a.m. in Vegas, man. I got up today at like 7:20, and I'm like, holy fuck. Like, I felt like I just went to bed, and yesterday was a long day of travel. So I'm gonna save my antics for tomorrow night in Sin City. I'm gonna be a good boy tonight.
All right, Nick. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it as always. We'll see you tomorrow morning on Leafs Morning Take, and get rested. Get rested. We need that energy tomorrow morning. All right, there you go.
See you, buddy.
Nick Alberga jumping on the postgame to help us break this one down here following the Leafs loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. Look, I'm going to get to some callers in a second. I see you guys in the chat, and I see you guys wanting to address it. this is a fan show. Obviously, the more we do this, the more I'm trying to become a tightened up, cleaner, professional media person. But at the end of the day, I am a fan of this team, and my reactions to it, win, loss, players leaving, players traded, players being pissed off, whatever. And my immediate reactions are raw and honest and emotional, and that is what it is. And you know what? You want me to say I don't like Mitch Marner? I will say I don't like Mitch Marner. And this loss tonight is frustrating. And the quotes about it are frustrating. And the team blowing the lead, it's fucking frustrating, okay? You want me to say it? It's frustrating. I think he was the most toxic Leaf that this fan base has ever experienced. I think that it was the greatest thing ever to get him out of here and not have to deal with him, his dad, his camp, all of it. I think that was the best thing that could have happened. And to be quite frank with you, this fucking infuriates me, having to see him in there and hear him talk about all this shit and hear all the articles and the quotes and the interviews and all of that shit about his time here and where he's gone to and where he's at with the Vegas Golden Knights. It fucking pisses me off because I think he is a big fucking baby. And I think he did not appreciate the fan base, the city, and what everyone had to offer to him, and it infuriates me. So to see the quotes and to read again today that his dad was out there shopping for houses, and at Four Nations he was asking about what it was like living in Vegas, and he knew he was going there, it fucking drives me nuts, okay? It drives me nuts. This is a guy that had every opportunity to be the greatest Maple Leaf of all time. From the city, amazing player, putting up points, has a chance to be in the record books, and instead all he did was be a little insecure crybaby the entire time he was here. He was an insecure crybaby, and him and his dad and his camp could never handle the heat. They could never take accountability. They just couldn't fucking do it. So yes, it drives me nuts. You want me to say that I don't like the guy? I fucking don't like the guy. I don't like anything he did here. I don't like what he represents. I don't like how he acts. I don't like how he holds himself. I do not like the player, and to be quite honest with you, it makes me pissed off and dislike the Vegas Golden Knights that much more that he went there. He hung on to every last second that he could get out of this city, and then he fucking left knowing he was going to leave. The best chance this team probably had to win a Stanley Cup, and his brain and his heart was already in Vegas. He's probably taking phone calls from his realtor buying houses in Vegas. So yes, it drives me nuts. It pisses me off, and I do not want to see him succeed against the Maple Leafs, and more than likely, I probably don't want to see him succeed in general, to be quite honest with you. And I know that's unprofessional and that's yada yada yada, and I'm willing to accept the repercussions of that because he pisses me off. And when we talk about booing the guy, I'm so happy that they booed him in his own barn tonight. I'm so happy that in a place where he went and cried to Jonas Siegel in the article they put out the other day about how he's not really comfortable yet, and he misses home and he misses playing Fortnite with his buddies. I'm happy that in his own barn he got booed every time he touched the puck. And I know he walked away with 2 assists here tonight. I know that Leafs fans are going to look at that and be like, well, he got on the score sheet. Good for him. I don't think he was very good. I think to Nick's point, there was a handful of guys who were much better than him in this game. And I think the Leafs did a pretty good job of neutralizing him. He picked up a couple of points. Sure, that's tough. But at the end of the day, seeing him be so pumped up about this, seeing him be so happy about this win, yeah, it pisses me off that much more that they blew this lead here tonight. I think that guy should get booed every single time he shows up on your own TVs. If you're watching on your couch and an NHL commercial pops up with that guy, I think you should be fucking booing him, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I don't like him. I don't like anything about him, his dad, his camp, none of it. I don't like that when you criticize the guy, his security guard would DM you calling you a piece of shit and a baby. I don't like that shit. So, yeah, to be honest with you, I don't fucking like the guy, and this drives me up a wall even more than I already was.
So, yeah, I get it. Again, it's probably not the most professional, but yeah, this is a night where for me, it pisses me off a lot to see the Maple Leafs lose this game. That guy should get booed like you wouldn't even believe on Friday night next week. That guy should get booed when his commercials come on your TV. All of it and more, because he hung this team out to dry. He got everything he ever wanted, but he couldn't take accountability, and he went to war on the fan base. So fuck that guy, and this pisses me off that they lost to the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. All right. Let's get to some callers. There's a lot of you guys who are going to be pissed off about this loss in general, and I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think about this game. I want to know what you think about this loss. The call line is open. It's pinned at the top of the chat. Jump on in there. Let's hear from you guys. I want to know what you guys think about this one. Before we get to calls, just a quick reminder. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. Leafs post-game breakdowns after every single Leafs game all season long. We're here on this channel live, instantly reacting, hearing what you guys have to say, talking about everything that went on and things about this team going forward, future of this team, major outlooks on this team, all of it. So just quickly before we get to calls, because some of these super chats have been sitting here waiting, I do want to address these. Proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity, Canada's #1 children's research intensive hospital in Canada, #3 in North America. Let's go to the first one we've got here. Joe Hill, playoff spot was fun while it lasted. Back to the grind. I mean, what the fuck, dude? Yeah, a little bit upsetting. I mean, like, if you were battling back in this game, if it wasn't the Golden Knights on a second night of a back-to-back, yeah, I'm probably a little bit happier with the fact that you came back and you got a point out of it. But the fact that you had two goal leads for the majority of this night and you let it slip away, it's a frustrating one for me. Maxentius Decimus, I'm on the same page here for the most part on this one. I feel dejected and sick. What a damn choke job. Yeah, Max Antius, I'm with you as well. B. Khalid says, everyone gonna blame Rielly. Cowan looked his age. Honestly, I would kind of disagree with that. I think the penalty that he had was a mistake, but I thought Easton Cowan played a pretty good game, and to be honest with you, I think that Craig Berube handled it pretty well, surprisingly. Like, he just kept giving him opportunities. I think him and the rest of the staff recognized Cowboy was going tonight. I thought he looked pretty good offensively. I thought that line of him, Juan, and Robertson, when they got out together a few times after things got broken up when Nylander left, I thought that they looked good together. I thought they created some chances. You know, you got him out there in the overtime period. Like, I don't think he gets those chances if he's not playing well in this one. So I kind of disagree, B. Khalid. I think it's not Rielly's fault and where it should all be on him. I don't think he played very well outside of the goal, but to say Cowan looked his age in this one, he looked his age on the penalty. It's a bad penalty to take in the offensive zone below the goal line. But outside of that, like, I thought he played a pretty decent game. I'm not frustrated with Easton Cowan's performance other than the penalty, of which I just look at it and chalk it up to rookie mistake, bad decision in that moment. It is what it is. We move on. Row Live 95, 3-1. 4-2, 5-3, still lost. Simply blew it. Defense were losing all net front battles. They were. Colasar's goal, Morgan Rielly losing that net front battle. Jeff O'Neill made a good point during the broadcast tonight in the intermission. You know, if you're not going to physically box the guy out and win that battle, you can't have your stick up at your waist where the puck comes down off a rebound, or comes out, I should say, off a rebound off of Joseph Wall, and you have zero ability to get to that puck. You are outsized, you are outstrength, you are outmatched with Keegan Colasar in front of the net. And yet Morgan Rielly is standing there trying to do something he's never been able to do in his career, and that's physically out-battle someone in front of his own net. He just does not have that capability. So for him to suddenly decide tonight's the night, this is the moment for me to battle someone in front of the net and push them away and physically impose myself,
That's an interesting decision, but it's not just that one. Again, the tying goal, Jake McCabe and John Tavares letting Hertl get himself open in the slot in a dangerous position. Like, you'd think in a moment like that, you're going to be stronger on your sticks. You're going to be tighter defensively in the box. I'd rather have guys on the outside with the puck than letting Thomas Hertl get an opportunity in tight. You don't want those. And yet there they were again, giving up net front opportunities. It's a frustrating one from that perspective as well. And then final super chat here before we get to the callers. Donald Chisholm. Leafs pissed away a point. Not a ref guy, but was frustrating watching them blatantly ignore interference on Hill late in the game. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that was the reason for this loss, so can't call refs out on this. That was an egregious non-call. Mike Johnson said it on the broadcast immediately, and to be honest with you, I was pretty shocked. We're in the age here where it's like, you sell a call, you're going to get it because the refs will see it and they'll just go to it immediately. Aiden Hill just blatantly stepped in front of Scott Laughton, and I don't know how the rest of the game turns out. I'm not saying it's just an automatic win, but at bare minimum, that's 2 minutes of the Leafs spending in the Vegas zone, maybe getting some momentum back, maybe scoring a goal. Pretty ridiculous, in my opinion, that's not called, but I can't blame the refs on this one. The Leafs need to be held accountable for this loss more than anything. But I do agree with you. That's a pretty ridiculous non-call. I just can't understand, no matter whether it's time-wise, if it's a tight game, I don't care. That's a penalty. It's a penalty all day long. So for that not to be a penalty, I think is an egregious call. But again, that's not the reason for the loss. The Leafs need to be held accountable in this one more than anything. With that, let's get to our callers here. First guy on the line, Merrick. What's up tonight, Merrick? How you doing?
What's going on, Zach?
Not happy after this loss, Merrick, to be honest with you. Not happy after this loss.
The way I feel about this loss is kind of the way you feel about Mitch Marner and that rant you just went on.
Fair.
I think this loss was absolutely inexcusable. You blew 4 2-goal leads to a team that was on a second night of a back-to-back with travel. The last game the Leafs played, they played Utah. They got their shit kicked in, and we're like, yeah, you know what? Let's flush it. They're 8-0-2 in the last 10. Scheduled loss, which I don't believe, but whatever. All those cliches were out there, and we were like, well, let's see how they perform against Vegas, who was in the exact same situation the Leafs were in 2 nights ago. And guess what? The Leafs fucking lost to Vegas in the same way. So, I just don't get how Vegas is the team with so much more energy throughout the second half of that game. Nick mentioned it, right, in his call with you. He said, I think it looked like Vegas had more energy, which I think is just there's no excuse for that. Yeah. They were the more tired team. So in that sense, I think it's highly inexcusable to lose this and lose that second point.
Yeah. I'm with you. And I think it's frustrating too, Merrick, because they had the energy early. The way they started that first period, even the way they finished that first period was awesome. The second period, I thought they came out a little bit flat, or maybe credit to Vegas there to come out with the speed and the intensity that they did. But early on in this season, I would say they didn't have the speed, they didn't have the physicality, they didn't have the offense to go toe-to-toe with anybody else. And for the most part, you'd look at games and be like, well, they were just outmatched. Not this one tonight, and not for the first 30 plus minutes of this game. And even into the third period, to start that third period, I thought they were pretty much fine. How many times did you watch them break up a play, get in transition, get up the ice? Break up a play, get up a regroup, hinge on the defensive side, get a change on the forward group, send it up, gain the offensive zone, and go to work in the offensive zone. Break up a transition play by Vegas where maybe they had a shot, and then you just regrouped, won the battle, got back up the ice. They did that all night long, or all first period, all into the second period, and then by the time they got to the third period, it was like that energy was zapped out of them. I don't know if they were just too horny too early and they kind of got it all out of them, or if it's the road trip catching up to them or what, but
the ending of that game was so frustrating because it was just a complete switch flipped from what it was early on. They had the energy and then they lost it.
Yeah, agreed. I think the Leafs have had this issue for years where they get the lead and last year, I guess, is an anomaly, but they have the lead and they just kind of just coast and play not to lose, right? And it's just, you can't do that in the NHL. Like we've been saying kind of all year with the way they've been playing the position that they're in, that, we really can't have moral victories, right? And I think this game is exactly the same. You needed the 2 points here, and I'll tell you why if you look at their schedule. So they play Winnipeg on Saturday. Winnipeg's won 4 in a row. They also kicked the shit out of Minnesota tonight. So anyone who thinks that's going to be an easy game, I'm not sure. And then the next 5, you have next 5 at home, and all the 5 games are against teams that are top 10 in the league, like Gord Miller said about 4 times on the broadcast tonight. So you can't give up these points like this. And we've had many games like this, right? Detroit, San Jose are 2 examples of that. So just frustrating in that sense. Just a couple more things. So we talked to Mike, and you talked about Rielly. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to disagree. I think we're in a spot right now where we actually can give Rielly a rest and keep him in the press box for a night. Now, if you were to ask me a week ago when Brandon Carlo was still out, I'd say it's probably not the best idea. But I think now you can actually do that, because remember that Benoit was a scratch. Rafai is now healthy. And if you want to, you can go to the Marlies and get Villeneuve, right? So I think it might not be a bad idea. I just think he's just god-awful defensively. I mean, what is he doing on that play with Kolasar?
I understand. I understand completely. And I mean, I get Mike's point. I understand what he's saying. It's a tough situation to be in, because I'm on the same page as a lot of Leafs fans here, where I get it from Mike's side, where it's like, who do you go get, and who do you get in the season? Because yes, I think the idea of Thrawn, or the idea of Rafai, or the idea of Villeneuve is great in theory. It might not work in practice, and Morgan Rielly does play a lot of minutes. He does run your power play right now, or he's the guy out there on the power play, whether you agree or not. So you do have to replace that in some way, which it just makes it hard. And to Mike's point, it does make sense where it's like, okay, it is kind of hard to replace the minutes and what he can do in the matchup and the pairing that he has. But it's just, you watch a night like this, you watch a night like the Islanders game, and it's like, man, can you trust this guy? Because right now, I don't think you can. I don't think you can.
Yeah, I mean, and just to further my point, I believe this is right, but since 2019, without Rielly in the lineup, the Leafs have a .700 winning percentage. So, I mean, it's not a small sample size either. Just a couple of things on a couple of players. I guess I have to talk about Marner. I completely agree with what Nick said. I think if Vegas didn't have any power plays, you wouldn't have even noticed him. He did nothing 5-on-5. So just want to agree with Nick on that end. Joseph Woll, I thought, was not good tonight. I think the 3rd, 4th, and 5th goal are all savable. The 3rd one is off the boards. It's that tip in by Dorofeev on the short side there off the boards. The 4th one goes under his pad. And then the 5th one, I think you said it, he needs to have more of an aggressive slide and try to get over there to that hurdle tip. So I didn't think he had his best game tonight. And what I'll say is you can't lose games where you score 5 goals. Sorry. You just can't. So that was my thought on Woll.
Yeah, I've said it a couple times on the show tonight, but 100% agree with you, Merrick. Of all nights for Joseph Woll to not just be as dialed in as he could have been, this is a tough one for that to happen, because yes, the Leafs let off the gas. Yes, the Leafs made some mistakes defensively, but
Joseph Woll had an 818 save percentage or whatever it was after this one tonight. That can't happen. Like, it's not like the Leafs were giving up 48 shots and Joseph Woll was facing breakaway after breakaway and backdoor shot after backdoor shot. It wasn't like that. You know, again, a couple of those goals that were scored, you look at and you think, that one he could have had. Not maybe he should have had it, but he could have had it. I mean, again, I see in the chat, Chris David, let's not shit on Wall, LOL. It's not a shit on Wall. The guy's been really good. We're breaking down what happened in the game, and unfortunately, Joseph Woll didn't have a great night tonight. He didn't. And I think if he does have a great night, or even a good night at most, I think you win this game. And he doesn't, so you lose. And you lose in overtime, and it's extremely frustrating.
Yeah. I just got one last point on coaching. We've talked in the times that I've called in about coaching and how Berube was kind of, in our opinion, misusing some players. And it got better the last little bit where he's not throwing out Domi in overtime, for example. I can't for the life of me understand how Scott Laughton in tonight's game only plays 13 minutes. William Nylander was gone from basically the start of the game.
Yeah.
There's only 3 players on the Leafs that played less than Laughton tonight. Lorentz, Robertson, Callan. Like, what, does Berube have something against this guy? Like, why doesn't he trust him and play him? Like, on that final shift, why is he not on the ice instead of Tavares? Like, he's as good in the faceoffs. He's literally your best defensive forward. JT didn't take the faceoff, so why is he on the ice over Laughton? It just boggles my mind how he's not. And that play, when Hertl scores, who's right behind him? It's Tavares standing there, right? So I'm not convinced that Laughton's playing enough, and I think he's one of your better players. So, and this is a game where, like I said, you were winning the whole game. Besides 7 seconds.
Yeah.
And your best defensive player plays the 4th least minutes. Come on. Give me a break, man. Like, he's got to play more. He definitely is. And you can throw him out there on the wing. You don't have to throw him out there at Fort Line Center all the time. So I didn't agree with his usage of Laughton, and I haven't agreed with it pretty much all year, to be honest.
It's a good point. I mean, you have to get creative. It's easy for me to just say here now, talking about it and looking at it after, but I do agree with you. Like, you had out there, I believe the final combination of guys was Nyes, Matthews, and Tavares, right? And you obviously, as you pointed out, put Tavares out there so that you can have another guy who can take faceoffs if Matthews gets kicked out, which the linesmen were just tossing guys out like there was 17,000 people in the arena to watch them drop pucks tonight, which was insane. But you put JT out there. Good point. I mean, why couldn't Laughton go out there to close that one out? He's a guy that you put out there to close out the series against Ottawa when you're down 6-on-5 and they're pushing for a goal to tie that one, and he's the one who blocks the shot to send Nylander on the breakaway on the empty net to close that game out and that series out. He's a guy that you rely upon in your penalty kill when you're down a man to go out there. Why can't Scott Laughton go out there in place of John Tavares? Why can't Scott Laughton go out there in place of Matthew Nyes? I know Michael Kirkpatrick pointing out Matthews without his stick didn't help. That's obviously true as well. But yeah, Scott Laughton could go out there later as a guy that you can rely upon defensively and also a guy you can rely upon in the faceoff dot. So yes, I do understand the point that you're making there about Laughton. Even if throughout the remainder of the game, he doesn't want to play him as much. Okay, sure, that's your decision. It is what it is. But at the end there, I can completely understand your point of view in saying, why was Scott Laughton not given the opportunity to close that out and finish this game? That's one of those ones where it can be confusing as well. There's some interesting decisions that get made.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not just that last shift. Like, the Leafs were winning literally all the game. How do you not play your best defensive player, but defensive forward at least, for more than 13 minutes? I just can't understand it. That's all I had. I know you got a couple of callers lined up, so appreciate the time. Appreciate you having me on again. Keep up the good work, and let's hope that they can play a little better Saturday and get a lead and hold it. because it's getting ridiculous this year. It's been bad this year. Last year, they were fantastic. The Leafs had a lead last year. You're like, all right, wrap it up. Let's go to the post-game show with Zach. This year, it's like, holy fuck, I don't even know what to expect, right? So,
dude, I know. It's frustrating. Let's hope they can get it back on Saturday against Winnipeg. Obviously continuing this road trip, and based on the fatigue that we've seen, that's a word that's been used too much over this last 4 days here on the post-game show. But let's hope the fatigue doesn't get the better of them in that Saturday night game against Winnipeg. Merrick, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your night. And hopefully we see you on Saturday.
Yeah, I wish Rielly played all game too. Fucking asshole.
Yeah, good point. All right, Merrick. Thank you.
Yeah, see ya.
There you go. Merrick, we got more callers to get to. Also, I just want to point out here, if you're watching and you haven't already, hit that like button. Every set of 50 likes, we do the Smelling Salts here on the post-game show. So keep liking the stream. We're over 50 here already, 83 likes right now. If you get to 100, we'll do the Smelling Salts. But we got the first set of 50 right now, 50, 100, 150, whatever. We'll do the Smelling Salts. Here are the Smelling Salts for the first set of 50 likes. Thanks to everybody who's liked. This is a relatively fresh bottle, so that one hits a little bit different. And some of those salts are all over the place here right now in my room. All right. Next caller. Let's keep the likes going. Also, quickly, hold on a second. Jari F1B. Zach doesn't like when the Isles fans boo Tavares, but wants everyone to boo Marner, yet wonders why he left. First of all, I don't give a fuck. I completely understand why Isles fans boo John Tavares. They have every right to, and they should boo John Tavares. Like, why would they not? That's what makes hockey and rivalries and sports and competition good. That's why you play sports. They should boo him. He left. They got nothing. He was the captain of their team. They should boo him. Why would you not boo the guy? Boo the guy. Boo all you want. What the fuck are we talking about? Yes, they should boo Mitch Marner. He fought against the fan base and then left and blocked trades. Let's go to the next caller. Jacob. Oh, wait, actually. Yeah. Let's go to, I thought I read that wrong. Let's go to JD Anderson. JD, what's up, buddy?
What the fuck did we just watch, Zach?
We watched
what the fuck?
Diarrhea down our legs wearing white underpants for 9 minutes of the third period. That's what we watched, JD.
We watched dog shit. My God, you know what I'm most pissed off about? It's 10 to 2 in the morning. We had to stay up this late, and we circled this for how long? Anticipated it, and that's what they fucking gave us. Absolutely unacceptably pathetic. I puked in my own mouth at that fucking overtime. Disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, like, the overtime itself, I don't think was that atrocious. I think the final play is frustrating because it's a boomer bust play by Morgan Rielly that I think was unnecessary. You had a tired Matthews and Easton Cowan who had been late in their shift, and he walks into a shot that he puts high and wide. Like, you could have held on to that one. You had a sprawling out Vegas player. You could have taken 1 second. You could have regrouped, or at bare minimum, got a fucking shot on net, but shooting it high and wide is like the last thing you can do, and it sends Vegas off the other way on an odd man rush, and it ultimately ends up burning you. But I mean, it's the play before that, JD. It's the attempt to close out the third period. That, to me, is what's infuriating.
Yeah, 8 minutes of garbage in the third there at the end. I'm not gonna. Well, I guess I am gonna state the obvious. I think there's one thing that collectively all of Leafs Nation can agree on. Rielly's just so fucking terrible. Almost exclusively responsible for those first 2 goals. He's on for both. He's covering nobody. He's spinning around like a fucking bat. He's facing the wrong way on goals. He's out of position. He's covering nothing. He's so fucking bad. Other than that one sprawling 2-on-1 breakaway that he saved, that was fluky but good. He did nothing else good in the entire game. He's just so fucking terrible. I swear to God, trading him for an equipment bag and pulling up anybody off the Marlies, even the worst Marley, couldn't be as bad as he's been. And I don't think that's too much. Maybe it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but seriously, like, tell me he could do worse. Tell me that a guy couldn't come up that's terrible and at least put an effort and maybe do better. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, debate.
Yeah, it's been a tough stretch, man. I can't, like, I understand the frustration of Leafs Nation here. This has been a tough stretch, especially watching this team play as well as they have, and then watching him struggle. It's been a frustrating stretch, JD.
He can't hit a net either. He can't hit a net to save his life. I mean, he's an offensive defenseman, so defensively, he's a liability. He sucks, and you know that. Well, okay, pot us 20 some odd goals. Hit a fucking net. He can barely hit the fucking glass behind the net. It's just absolutely terrible. And you know what? This is the first time I'm going to admit this, and I haven't said it all year, and I didn't want to say it because I really think Berube, for the most part, it's been really great for this team. But holy fuck, do you ever have to start turning a corner here now and placing some blame on the guy just for allowing some of these players to not only take the ice but stay on the ice and not be benched, not be in the box. To throw them back out on this fucking ice is just, it's liable. It's so bad. I don't know what the fuck Berube's thinking. I don't know why he's allowing this to happen, but it's a series of just fucking terrible decisions.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll go to the point that Merrick just made and Scott Laughton not being on the ice to close out the game. I think he's a guy that you could put out there and trust. And I mean, to kind of just add on to it is like, Matthew Nyes, I don't think has had the greatest year this year. Again, I believe he's dealing with something I think he's dealing with an injury and he's playing through it, which I guess kudos to him because you're battling through, and he's still playing well. He's just not playing like the Matthew Nyes we've become accustomed to over the last couple of seasons. But he's out there late to close out this game. Again, yeah, great play that he made on the Scott Laughton goal. No issues with him really otherwise, but you could have put somebody out there maybe who's got a little bit more legs, got a little bit more juice right now. The Scott Laughton thing, I think, is fair. Nick Waugh potentially could go out there. Like, you have 45 seconds left or whatever it was when that final whistle goes to start in your own zone in the defensive zone. Why not just exhaust all options? Why not put everybody out there who can play defensively? Not to say Matthew Nyes can't. And again, I love the player. Again, I've said the word again way too many times tonight, but I love the player, Matthew Nyes. Just maybe in that moment, you can throw out all your defensive guys. Maybe you could throw out everybody out there over the boards who can play a shutdown role, and you just don't. I also think that you could have found a way to put Nyes with Laughton and Lorentz and found them some more minutes tonight and got them to play a little bit more, especially once William Nylander left and you started the game instead, breaking up that third line of Cowan, Waugh, and Robertson, who had played really well in the Monday night game until Nick Robertson left against Colorado and had played really well before. I mean, and then throw in there as well the defensive side of things. Late in the game, Jake McCabe, I don't think has played his best hockey. He's the one out there to close that out. I'm not going to put the blame on his feet, but he's not been playing his best hockey. He's out there to close it. I also don't like Philippe Myers, and you move away from Simone Benoit and put Myers in this one. Yes, Benoit had a tough game against Utah, but he played really well with Troy Stetcher in the game against Colorado. So did that actually warrant taking Benoit out? Because I thought the whole team didn't play very well on Tuesday. So
Why are you choosing now to send this message? I don't know. And if they win and they close it out, obviously we have a different conversation on the post game and we don't bring these things up. But I think part of these decisions and part of this conversation tonight is they lost, and some of those decisions cost you, and some of those decisions hurt you in this game and make it become a loss. So it's a frustrating game for sure, and there was some frustrating decisions made by the staff.
Exactly. Yeah, lots of points to make after what you said there. First of all, I don't know if you remember, but you mentioned about you think that Nyes is maybe playing injured. He admitted he's playing injured. He came right out and said that he was, maybe somewhere around the 75%. But he felt like the team needed him, and he was coming back type thing. So he said outright in one of his interviews, I think probably 3-4 games ago, that he's not at his best, but he said, I'm good enough to go, and that's good enough for me. So he's obviously struggling. And I mean, he made a bit of a bonehead play there tonight. And I mean, that's probably indicative of him actually not being on 100%, where he kind of triple clutched, where he had a wide open lane right down fucking Broadway to shoot twice. Yeah. And he just sat and waited to pass it off to Domi instead of just gripping and fucking ripping, where he prime real estate. You couldn't have got a better angle unscreened to just, blast something. And he didn't. He just looked off for the pass, which just tells me he's not confident. He's not, he's missing something. There's something that's not right. That's just not allowing him to to get a proper shot off, or I don't know. But that's thing number one that I wanted to backtrack on. And yeah, as far as the overtime, I'm a little confused because I know they're mentioning like Vegas, especially the line that they put out for overtime, tons of speed there with Eichel and whatnot. So for me, you got to at least try and match speed for speed, or speed for like very defensive play type thing. And they stick fucking Tavares out there. And okay, so you're trying to win a face off. Yeah, as I said, we got Lawton. For fuck's sakes, we got Lawton. He went 19 out of 20 on the face off. He's pretty defensively minded. He's a dog. And okay, so he doesn't have the greatest wheels either, but he will give you 150% to get the fuck back if he needs to get back. And I mean, another thing, why aren't we trying to, if we're worried about speed and stuff like that, why aren't we even considering matching speed for speed in a situation like that? Why not stick a guy like McMahon that's been hot as fuck, that's had wheels, he's had a great shot? Like, why is he not an option? Robertson, great. I mean, once again, great wheels, great speed, defensively okay. He's got a decent shot. He's not potting them all, but he gets lots of looks. Like, why are none of these guys getting chances over a guy like JT, who we know, he could put a puck in the net. He's got good vision. He's got a good hockey IQ and stuff like that. But he's skating in fucking quicksand.
Yeah, dude, I'm not going to disagree with anything you're saying. I understand. You want to have speed going out there and matching speed on the other side of things, and unfortunately, they just look tired and they look slow. And like you saw it on that overtime shift, Easton Cowan was buzzing around out there. I thought he looked good. Matthias Michelli in the overtime, I thought he looked good with some time and some space and creating opportunities. Nick Robertson's a guy you probably could have put out there. Nick was a responsible guy who can get up the ice and get out there. You can't put everyone. It is 3-on-3, and you do want your best players on the ice. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, JD. I understand what you're saying. Anything else for me?
Yeah, I noticed some people were ripping on Cowan too, especially in the chat and stuff, saying Cowan's shit and he's just showing and stuff like that. I think that's a load of horse shit. I think he played a decent game, maybe not his best. He took a bonehead penalty. He's a kid. He's got stuff to learn. How come nobody harped on McCabe? McCabe took two. He took two somewhat bad penalties. I mean, and McCabe, he's a great defensive player. He's a dog. I mean, he's a great key player on the team. But it seems like every game I watch, Kaber's taking tons of fucking dumb penalties too. You know, and people get on an 18-year-old kid like Cowan, like, shake your fucking head. I mean, I don't know what anybody's going on there.
Yeah, the only thing with Cowan to me is just that penalty. Outside of that, I don't think there was anything Cowan did in this game that I question his maturity or his ability to play or why he's getting opportunities. It's that penalty that he took was a bad penalty. He knows it. The coach knows it. His teammates know it. And Vegas scored 6 seconds into it. So the message is received. He understood, but Berube goes back to him, gives him more opportunities, keeps running him out there, and I thought he played pretty well. You needed to have your foot on the gas in this game. That was one of the things we talked about the Leafs struggled to do in that third period. I thought that when he was out there, he did a pretty good job with his line mates of maintaining that offensive zone pressure, getting up ice in transition, and causing some problems with their own speed. So I don't know. I don't look at Easton Cowan and say, wow, what was he doing tonight outside of that penalty that he took?
Yeah, exactly. And just to cap it here, because I know you got other people, and you probably don't want to be on here until 4 in the fucking morning. Wall, people are on him too. I see the knobs in the fucking chat. We got to get rid of Wall, and it's, you know, trolls and bullshit and stuff like that. Everybody knows Wall's a great goalie. He's been amazing. Everybody's on the bandwagon until he has one stinker, and then everybody's like, get him the fuck out of town. Wall in this game was terribly out of position on goal number 3. He was out way too far and out to the side. He left a big gap there.
Yeah.
And of course, the defense just hung him out to dry. They were out the fucking out of position. Kaber, I think, was in the corner there that should have had his man and missed him and left Wall out. But I think the most embarrassing thing is that we just went up against a goalie that's been out for 3 months with a shitty save percentage, and we got out goalied. So.
Yeah, you were a backdoor empty net goal from Bobby McMahon away from having the guy pulled. And
exactly.
To just add to your point, I'm not in that camp, and I think you know that, but I want to make it clear because there's a lot of people who heard the comments that I had about Joseph Woll and are like, are you kidding me? You're getting mad at Joseph Woll? I'm not mad at Joseph Woll. We're here to break down what just happened against Vegas, and the reality of the situation is Joseph Woll finished with an .818 save percentage, gave up 6 goals, and had a couple of goals against that I think you could look at and say, that one should have been saved. That one could have been saved, and he didn't. You know, Jack Eichel overtime goal, what am I going to do? The guy walks down Broadway and beats him one-on-one. It is what it is. I can't get mad at Joseph Woll there. The Thomas Hertl goal to tie the game, could he have had it? Yeah, probably. The Dorofeyev goal even that tied the game, that got called back, probably could have had that one. You know, it goes under his leg, far side. The Dorofeyev goal on the power play, 6 seconds in, out of position, as you brought up. The Kolasar goal that he scores, I know Joseph Woll doesn't see it the cleanest coming through, but he launches a rebound back out into the slot there. It's a big, juicy rebound. Morgan Rielly does not do a very good job of boxing out, and you do want to be able to rely on guys, but it is a big rebound that gets thrown out. Like, it's not like Joseph Woll is the reason for the loss. That's not what I'm trying to say. I have faith Joseph Woll can bounce back and get himself on the right track, but it's just tough in a game like this where you score 5 goals to look and see your goaltender had an .818 save percentage, because if he goes .850, if he goes .900, you win the game. And unfortunately, he doesn't. I thought he could have been better, and it just, his collapse kind of coincided with the Leafs' defensive breakdowns tonight, unfortunately, and it comes back to bite you in the ass, JD.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm giving Rielly about 50% of the blame. I'm giving Wall about 25% of the blame, a bit of blame on Berube, and then just the team around him. But it is what it is, man. We sucked out. We missed a point we should have had. And now we got a fucking uphill battle again.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. All right, JD, appreciate the call. I'll look forward to hearing from you on Saturday after a win against Winnipeg. But for now, 6-5 OT loss to the Vegas Golden Knights, and it's a tough one, that's for sure.
Thanks. Have a good night, Zach. Thanks for having me on.
All right, JD, you too, buddy. Appreciate it as always. There you go, JD on the postgame show. More super chats to get to, more calls to get to. We're close to our second set of smelling salts, so keep hitting that like button. Keep subscribing here to the channel, Leaf Station 401. Again, trying to hit 25,000 subscribers by the Olympic break. It's going to be tough. We're getting closer and closer, but you keep liking, you keep subscribing, we can get there. So keep doing that for us. We do appreciate it here on the post game. But super chat comes in. This super chat comes in from Tammy. Shout out to Tammy. Tammy, I think Tammy is like 100% hit rate on the post game shows and probably on Leafs Morning Take as well. So thank you to Tammy for supporting as always. Tammy says, tired of the team not showcasing any physicality. Yeah, you know what? That was one thing Nick brought up, and I hadn't really thought about it. I think I was very caught up in... how fast-paced and offensive this game was, and, you know, the whole Marner matchup and stuff, and that was taking up the oxygen of tonight's game. But, you know, Nick brought up the fact that it wasn't full of post-game or post-whistle scrums, not that many big hits or anything like that we could look to or point to in this game. It just didn't feel very physical. You know, I thought the Leafs did a lot of the other things in their game right tonight, aside from really the third period. Talking about getting up ice in transition and creating chances off of turnovers and stuff. They did really well in the first period and the second period as well until the third. And then it kind of just got to a point where they just looked outmatched. But, you know, they took advantage of Vegas in a lot of those situations. But then it's like, okay, now things are getting away from us a little bit here. Maybe you can kind of slow guys down physically, get on them quickly, make that jump in the offensive zone where you get down below the goal line and you cause problems in the cycle game. Like, there was a lot they could have done. They could have worn Vegas down, and I just thought they didn't. You know, it didn't feel like a very physical game like Monday night's game against Colorado did, or the last Tuesdays did against Florida. It didn't feel like they had that. And it is a little bit frustrating when you see how this one slips away and then think about after the fact, wow, they didn't play physical. They got away from that. They didn't have that in their game, because if they won, I don't think we care at all. But the fact that they didn't, it's easier to look back and say that could have helped. All right. Let's get to our next caller on the line. Actually, wait, quickly before we get to the next caller, I want to recap something. Our next segment here is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code NATION. That's NATION, code NATION, NATION. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connectsontario.ca. We kind of got lucky with this one, and again, to not make excuses, but to just bring this back up for people. William Nylander was our best bet. He scores. That profits us $100 on the night. That gets us to a profit of 0.5 units, $50 of profit on the season. It's been an absolute battle, much like the season has here this year, but Nylander cashes. It sucks that Nylander had to leave this game, because if he doesn't go down injured and he doesn't play 2 minutes, this had major William Nylander game vibes. He obviously gets 2 points in the 2 minutes that he plays, and who knows what happens after that, but it just felt like one of those games that Nylander can take over and just say, I'm going to do this. You talk about the late game stuff and an ability to close things out, whether it was on power play opportunities that they had, if it was just
in the last 8 minutes and trying to get things up ice and go in transition and take over offensively and have shifts in the O-zone and be dangerous, I think Willie would have helped. You lose him early, and that obviously kind of sewers you a little bit in this one. With that, let's get to our next caller here. Let's welcome to the show our guy who we haven't heard from in a while, and I wanted to do that best bet before I had him on because here on this channel, he is well known as one thing, and he still has it in his name when he calls in on the Zoom. Let's welcome to the show Noah G, the Willie Glazer. Noah G, what's up, man? It's been a while since we've heard from you.
Yeah, it's been a while, Zach.
You stayed away when the team was playing well. I noticed that. I think there was... Was there some superstition in there, or what was going on?
No, I was just enjoying my break, man. I'm not gonna lie. I was having
Fair enough.
It was a good vibe going on. I was always out with family and friends and stuff. Was having a good time. But today I thought, waking up in the morning, got the notification, school's canceled, snow day. I was like, oh yeah, all the boys hopping on video games. The Leafs starting the game out 2-0. I'm like, oh my God, today's such a good day. Then I get the notification, Kyle Tucker signed with the Dodgers.
Oh.
Then my favorite player, William Nylander, gets injured. Then the Leafs lose like that. It fucking feels bad right now, Zach.
It feels bad is a understatement. This is an energy-sucking game, Noah. This is one of those games where I was riding a high. I was feeling nervous. I was feeling anxious about the way it was going. It always felt like Vegas was still in it no matter what was happening, even how the Leafs were playing. I was emotionally drained, and then Vegas comes back and ties it, and it just sucked the life out of me.
Yeah, man, I'm not going to lie. I don't think I watched the second period at all because I was, depressed. I'm a big Jays fan too, and I see you're wearing the hat right now. Actually,
yeah.
I just liked the hat. Man, when I saw you sign with the Dodgers, it was like someone kicked me in the balls 5 times in a row. Not even just once; it was 5 times. Man, and then seeing that game, it was. If I joined this call at once the Leafs lost, I was on the phone with my friend, and he was like, "Is this the moment when I tell the doctors this is when he snapped?" Because I was fucking livid. I was telling my friend, if I go to school tomorrow and anybody pisses me off, I'm throwing hands. That's how mad I am right now, man. And it feels tough, but I don't know. It sucks right now.
Does it ever? I think it's also worse because it was 2-0. It was 3-1. I think it was 4-2. It was 5-3. This should have been a win. And I guess it's good on one hand that you got a point and it didn't result in nothing, but it should have been a win, Noah. To blow a 2-goal lead late in this one, and then end up losing to Mitch Marner. It's just, I don't know, man. I'm dejected after this loss.
I'm getting more mad now. I'm starting to relive the emotions. It sucks because Leafs losing always sucks. Losing like that sucks even more. Losing like that to goddamn Mitch Marner. Which, by the way, I saw you were saying you don't like Mitch. I completely disagree. I fucking hate Mitch Marner. Hey, can't stand the guy. I thought it was going to be bittersweet today, not going to lie. When, I saw him interview, it's going to be tough. Then I get the goddamn notification that Mitch Marner's parents were shopping for a house while we were there. And I'm like, fuck you. Fuck your dad. Fuck the player. I hope you have a horrible season. I hope you get exited out of the first round. God damn it. You're so bad you're not even on the first line for them. Oh man, Mitch, he was not good the whole game, in my opinion. I don't think he was good. He had 2 good passes, which that's Mitch Marner for you. He's stat pads, or else he's not really a guy who could take over the whole game, in my opinion. No offense to him, he has the skill to do it, but he never wants to showcase it because he's too afraid to get to the dirty parts of the game. And yeah, man, like Mitch is just, it sucks to lose to him, especially after the run we were on. It felt so good, but
Yeah.
that fucking sucked.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they started this road trip and left everything they had on the line in Colorado and have just been struggling for energy the rest of the way. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I was okay with the loss on Tuesday, or the fact that they lost on Tuesday. The way they lost obviously sucked, but it's like, okay, this is a back-to-back, the travel, the time difference, it can get to you. But then it's frustrating tonight to see them dwindle the way they did, because we had expectations that you can go on this road trip and pick up some wins and pick up some points here, and you obviously get the 2 against Colorado. You do get 1 here tonight, so you can't lose that in all of this. But again, it's like the fatigue sets in. Fatigue sets in as this game goes on, and you make mistakes, you let it get out of hand, and next thing you know, you're just struggling to get through. It's confusing, man. It's confusing how you've gone from having that style of play on Monday night to being where you are here and unable to close out this game. It really is.
Yeah, I think you could look at this loss in many different ways to say, oh, this guy could have done better. This guy could have done better. But the last 3 games, even against Colorado, I did not find this specific player to look impactful. And he's been a guy who's been rock solid all year. Jake McCabe, man, I think he's worn out to the bone. Like, he does not look good. In Colorado, too, I get the Leafs won, but man, got like broken ankles 8 times, I swear. Like, I get Colorado's such a good team, so good. But like against Utah, lost. Tonight, couple penalties. Man, what are you doing? Like, just stay on the ice. We don't need you to go through all guys. I just need you to stay on the ice and block some shots. I don't need you to go do that shit. And like, that's all I'm asking. And he looked really fucking bad. And the Leafs' whole defense tonight was in shambles, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was not just the defensive side. It was the team, like the defensemen. I mean, it was the team defensively. There was a lot of times in that third period, and I think it goes to them lacking the energy to get through this, where they looked like they were chasing the game. They looked like they couldn't keep up to Vegas and were just making some stupid mistakes. They got caught in their defensive zone. They struggled to get pucks out. I can't make excuses for this one, and it sucks so much that they played as well as they did for 40 minutes, 35 minutes of this one, if you want to say that, and then just have it crumble away in the last 20.
Yeah, as I kept on saying on the broadcast, like, William Nylander's first shift was that amazing pass, or second shift, and he looked great. And they're like, oh, this is going to be a William Nylander game. Then he hits one backhand beauty, and you're like, William Nylander's going to pop off. And I saw him do that little stumble. I'm like, oh, come on, don't tell me he's injured for that, as a joke. And the next thing you know, it says William Nylander is not on the Leafs bench. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I love the guy, but goddamn, he's so goddamn soft. Like, what the hell, Willie? Like, come on, man. We need you. Like, if I'm Berube, like, and it goes to overtime, I'm forcing Willie onto the ice. I don't care if you're hurt. We need you, man. We need you. If I'm Berube, yeah. I'm like, get the fuck on the ice or I'll beat the shit out of you. Come on, man. We need you. This team has no... Okay, the guys who have speed have no skill. The guys who have skill have no speed. William Nylander is the only goddamn guy who's a mixture of both, and that's why he thrives in overtime so much. And then what's he do? Gets injured on his own fucking goal celebration. What the hell? This team has such bad luck. Toronto sports fans have such bad luck. And right now, I'm fucking so angry and sad.
I feel you, Noah. All right, I got one more caller on the line. You got anything else for me before you go?
Nah, I'm just gonna sign off like that and go to bed, and you wake up at 7 o'clock. So
yeah. So do I, buddy. So do I. All right, Noah. Thanks for the call. See you, buddy. There you go, Noah G on the post game. All right, one more call to get to here to close this thing out. Let's get to our guy, Scott Thompson. Scott, we're going to you right away. How's it going tonight?
Man, Zach, I was going to start off by saying I'm really fucking pissed off, but I've had a couple beers, and right now I'm just so disappointed in this group. And, like, before I get into what I think about the game, I want to go on a bit of a rant here and say, like, one, fuck Mitch Marner, two, fuck Rielly, and three, fuck Philippe Myers. Like, if I'm the Leafs D coach, I'm calling them aside next practice. I'm saying, boys, you're not skating today. We're going on a field trip. And I don't even know if this store still exists, but I'm taking the boys to Toys R Us. I'm buying them both a lightsaber, and I'm making them battle it out until they learn how to use their stick like a fucking sword. Like, obviously, you want Wall to have a few of those goals there, but either of these defensemen, if they know how to win a fucking stick battle, those goals do not go in.
Yeah. I think the one that stands out more than anything, obviously, is the Rielly Kolesar net front battle. Jeff O'Neill said it on the broadcast to bring it back up, is like, he is fighting for net front positioning. He can't win the physical battle. And if that's going to be the case, then the way you have to approach it is you have to have your stick on the ice and be able to take his stick away. Kolesar had an easy way to get to that puck. Again, the game-tying goal by Thomas Hertl, net front in the slot. Nobody's taking his stick away. Nobody's getting in there to make his life uncomfortable while he just stands in the middle of the ice, open in the slot late in that game. Like, I would rather have the shot come from the outside than have a guy stand 4 feet in front of my goaltender and have a prime opportunity. And to Tammy's point on the super chat, they didn't have that physical game tonight. They just didn't have that physical game. And if they won, we could walk away and pretend it never happened, the physicality, and be like, okay, what does it matter? They won. Let's move on to Saturday. But seeing Vegas come back and seeing some of those goals, some of the physicality in this one was just lost and sorely missed tonight. And some of the ability to win battles, it just wasn't there. And it could have gone differently if they had won some of those and were more physical tonight.
Yeah, and like the Morgan Rielly one, it's just like Kolesar must be sitting there laughing. He's like, this guy's just tapping me in the back. I'm sitting here. I'm not moving an inch. Like, I don't know if Morgan Rielly's trying to overcompensate here. Like, he's not super physical, so he's going to try to be like McCabe and OEL and Benoit and try to push him out of the way, but it doesn't work. I'd rather him sit there and do nothing until the last minute and then get a clutch stick lift. It's like things like that, or I've been saying it for weeks, when there's a board battle and you see Myers, he'll be holding a guy up against the boards with his stick in both of his hands, and instead of playing the puck or anything like that, he's just holding the guy. And it's like, that's great, but if Benoit or OEL is doing that, they're able to use the length of their stick to, one, they're holding the guy with their body, and then they're wrapping the stick around and doing something with the puck.
And on the stretch that they were on, they were playing, they were doing these things. That's the thing that's frustrating, Scott. The game against Colorado, they were doing these things that we're talking about here tonight, and then it's moments like that just kind of start to creep back in, where you think about some stuff that happened earlier in this season, and obviously tonight is not playing the way you did early in the season, but it's moments like that happen, moments where you are softer in your own zone, moments where you are easy to beat, where it's reminiscent of the games you saw early on. And unfortunately, you just can't have that now, because you're too far in to this season and this hole that you've dug for those moments to come back and haunt you, for those moments to come back and have games be tied up and leads blown and stuff like that. Like, that stuff has to be cleaned up. You need to be playing nearly perfect. It's impossible to play perfect hockey, but you've got to be playing much more like you did against Colorado to have any chance to win games like this against the Vegas Golden Knights, who are a good team. You can't be just losing battles and getting sloppy in your own zone that way.
Yeah, and I think this one, it could have been a lot worse. Like, if they had started Schmidt in net, I think we would have been completely fucked, because Hill had a few bloopers on the first few goals. The Matthews one was pretty good, but the first two were sort of like, I think Schmidt's saving those. And then if you look at that, it'd be a much closer game. We might even lose in regulation. So next Friday, we better bring our A game. Otherwise, we're going to fucking lose for sure.
Yeah, even if that stuff's happening, if what happened in the third period is happening on Saturday night, you're going to lose that game against Winnipeg as well. That's the problem, and that stuff just can't happen. You can't be getting to a point where these mistakes creep in like that, because I just said it, but it's like you just let it get away, and you can't afford to be losing points and losing games like this. You can't. You can't at this point, just based on the hole you've dug for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. It's getting to the point where these teams are going to take a lead on us, especially Washington and Buffalo. They're just running away with it right now. And we're even seeing Pittsburgh clutching up wins. It's getting scary. I'm like,
yeah,
I want to see them in the playoffs, but even if we make it there, like if we can't close out a game like this tonight, what's the point of making it to the playoff?
Yeah. I mean, I would rather get myself to the playoffs and take my chances, because I think that the team that you have is much more conducive to playoff success. But yeah, if you can't close out leads, you're not going to have a shot in the playoffs no matter what. But yeah, I don't know. I would rather get there, because I do think they're better suited for it than they've ever been. But it's the habits, right? You just can't blow leads like this. You can't. It's the Detroit game, and it's even happened in this stretch where they've been good. It's the Detroit game where they were winning late, they blew that one, and then they lost in overtime. It's the Isles game where they're winning, they blow that one, and then they lose in overtime. This one here, again, that stands out to me as games along this stretch where you played pretty good for the most part and then let it get away. And to your point, if you want to have success in the playoffs, you can't let it get away. You can't have that happen.
No, you can't let the momentum get to you. It's almost like the Leaf curse. The momentum just gets to these players, and that's why I want to see Berube throw guys out there that we don't always see, like Lawton, like McMahon, like Robertson, like everyone else is saying. It's like we always know what happens when you throw out Matthews, and especially when he threw out Matthews and Rielly on the penalty kill after the Cowan penalty. I thought that was really stupid. It's like, if you want to have Matthews on the penalty kill when we're up in a game and we've got the control, that's fine. But I want to see Lawton, or Lorentz out there. Like, it's not a good look.
Yeah, so are you with I think it was Merrick who brought up putting Lawton on late. Are you in line with that? You want to see more Scott Lawton?
Yeah, I definitely want to see more Scott Lawton. He makes those clutch plays, and let's look at the games that we won recently. It's like those are the games where Scott Lawton is basically taking the team on his back, and he's playing almost 20 minutes. And I know a lot of that is the PK, which wasn't good tonight, but yeah, you got to have him out there.
Yeah, that was the one I thought he could have gone out there. You're getting some great defensive play out of him. He can win draws. You had JT out to be the second opportunity if Matthews got thrown out. I think Lawton could have helped you defensively. I think he could have helped you in the face-off dot as well. But lo and behold, it doesn't end up happening. And, obviously if they win these games and they get out of it, we don't have these conversations, but they didn't. So this stuff has to come up.
Yep, it does. Well, I don't got much out for you there, Zach, to be honest. It's getting pretty late, so I'll probably head out, but it was good talking to you.
I appreciate the call, Scott. As always, you're always welcome here on the show, so thanks for giving your opinions, having this conversation, and I look forward to hearing from you again soon.
Awesome. See ya.
There you go. Scott Thompson here on the Postgame show. One more caller we've got here on the line. Let's get to him right away. Let's go to Joe Sando. Joe, what's up?
How's it going, man?
Not the best. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Okay.
Not the best after this one. It's frustrating to have lost, and frustrating to have lost the way they did, because I think I said earlier, 30, 35 minutes, honestly, even thinking about it, through the end of the second period, I thought they were playing pretty well. There were some mistakes, but I think they were playing pretty well.
And
Yeah.
I thought that this was going to be one that they were going to be able to close out. I thought that this was one that they were going to be able to win, and it just it doesn't come to
Yeah.
fruition, and it's a loss against Marner, and it's another loss on this road trip here, following the disappointing one on Tuesday. So yeah, I'm upset. I'm disappointed.
I know. The vibes have definitely changed since we spoke on Monday night. But I mean, it was especially frustrating, I think, just because Vegas would come back within one, we'd go back up, like to make it a 2 goal margin again. And it just looked like, even though Vegas was starting to generate some chances, that, they were kind of just absorbing it and taking advantage of the offensive opportunities that we were getting throughout the rest of the game. But obviously losing Rielly in the first period, I mean, that guy touched the sheet like 3 times, and he had an incredible play off the half wall to Mo in the slot on the first goal, and then just absolute mitts of a legend on the second one to roof it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, having him go down when he got off to a start like that, I'm not saying he was going to finish the night with a 10-point night, obviously, but if Willie's on it, you obviously want to have him in the lineup. I don't know if I'd go as far as the other callers saying Berube is going to throw him out there for overtime when he's already got his dress clothes on and he's obviously dealing with an injury. But um, the one thing that is kind of making me grow frustrated here is Mo. And I apologize
Yeah.
if you guys have already talked about this, but I was driving back from the game.
Yeah,
So
go
I
for
missed
it.
the first bit of the show.
Yeah.
But it just feels like over the last few weeks, like I know, as Leaf fans, we've been talking about Mo and his performance and kind of like the fall off that he's experienced over the last couple of years. And I don't know, it feels like every game there's just something that ends up happening with him where the puck's in the back of the net, and I thought that
Yeah.
after the first period, I turned to my wife during the game and I was like, you know what? I was like, Morgan Rielly had a pretty solid first period. He obviously chipped in with a goal, and like he needs that because he's kind of been fighting uphill. But the play in overtime is kind of where my head starts to spin a little bit because
Mhm.
from a game management, just like hockey IQ, I know the game's happening fast. So, I mean, I'm sitting in the stands. Like, it's easy for me to say all this shit. But, at the point that they were at when Cowan fed the puck over to him, from where I was sitting, it looked like the angle that Mo had to even get a shot off was brutal to begin with.
Mhm.
And he's kind of throwing it anywhere kind of in the direction of the net. Now, at that point, I feel like Cowan and Matthews had been stuck out, or not stuck, but they were out there for quite an extended period of time. And it just like little things like, if he absorbs the puck, collects it, and comes back out into the neutral zone. And like, I know it's not the flashy play or the play that maybe the fans want all the time, but I mean, you could even see it with Cowan and Matthews back check, like on that play. I mean, Matthews was below the goal line behind the net. Cowan was down below the goal line as well. And they were gassed getting back. So it just kind of feels like some of these split-second decisions are just not the right ones that he's making. And it's just super frustrating because I'm not saying, like, obviously that's the overtime goal. That's not the reason why we lost, obviously, but we got to do a better job of closing the game out. But it's those little things. The margin for error is so thin, and then just having the worst shot in hockey rim around the glass and out into the neutral zone. Like, it's just frustrating because as soon as that happened, it's like, okay, here we go. Like, odd man rush.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just kind of, I needed to vent that. But I did
Yeah.
run into Nick at the arena. I saw
Oh,
him.
did you?
Yeah,
Nice.
I did. So I said hello to him, but that was
Nice.
also at second intermission when we were up and winning and everyone was happy. So
Feeling good, yeah. Well, no, like, look, I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill here on the Morgan Rielly shot. And in the grand scheme of things, there's a lot more that happens in this game that
for sure.
goes sideways to lead to the end result. And It's not to say that if that shot doesn't happen, the Leafs end up winning this game anyways. But to your point, it's split-second decisions that are costly. And, reiterating the point that we already brought up with the net front battle, that's one for Morgan Rielly with Kolesar, where it's like, again, get your stick on the ice. Get your stick on the ice and take away his stick. You're not going to ever beat Keegan Kolesar in a net front battle like that, just man-on-man physicality-wise. You have to come up with something else creative, and instead he has no idea where the puck is, and he's just trying to push Kolesar out, and Kolesar's not going to go anywhere. And then because his stick's up in the air, where it's that split-second decision where, hey, put my stick down on the ice, instead he's trying to push him away, Kolesar has a free opportunity to get that puck, turn around, and shoot it. And, even if Rielly's stick is still there, maybe he still scores, but I think it creates a better opportunity for you to break up that play, to cause a disruption on his shot, to not let it get off clean, to maybe deflect it or something to get Wall across to get there. And then that OT play, like, it's just tough for me to watch that happen, Joe, because the second the shot was taken, it's a bad spot for everybody to be in. Matthews was down below the goal line. Easton Cowan's down below the dot. And Morgan Rielly is kind of creeping in below the top of the circle. Around the dot itself, there was a Vegas player standing up who was back checking on Cowan, who's higher in the zone than he is. There was a Vegas player who was kind of parallel to Rielly in terms of position-wise. And then he fires that thing high and wide, wraps around the glass and out. From a young age, and it doesn't have to be playing junior or professional hockey to know this stuff. You're taught, there's situational awareness. There are bad times to miss shots high and wide like that. And that's one where Rielly lets it go from a bad angle and misses high and wide, and it's a boomer bust play. You miss, and that thing can end up back down in a bad position and put you in a bad spot. And that's exactly what happened. Rips that thing up, goes around the glass, misses, and Vegas is off the other way. They don't score on the 2-on-1, and he actually made a pretty good play to come back and break it up, but he still ends up sliding past. It's Mark Stone picks it up down below the goal line because Rielly, who was with him, was down on his stomach and can't get back up in time, and then he makes an easy pass to Jack Eichel, who's coming back down right down Hollywood, while Austin Matthews is dead out of gas coming back from the other end, who probably should get a little bit more blame because he wasn't back on that back check.
Sure.
He's 100 feet away, but Jack Eichel just walks down the middle because Morgan Rielly made a bad decision down at the other end with exhausted players down below the goal line. And to your point, maybe in that moment, if he just holds on to the puck for one extra second, he doesn't shoot it and he can get somebody open, or he can go back to Cowan, or Matthews can circle around, or you can get a change. And yet that's all a wash because he misses high and wide and it comes ripping back out of the zone. It's frustrating, to say the least, Joe, to watch that stuff happen and know, hey, that's a simple thing that we all know as hockey fans and hockey players. A lot of people who are watching know that's the wrong miss. Even if you don't score, that's the wrong miss. High and wide on the opposite side, it's the wrong miss.
Yeah, exactly. And just those little split-second decisions, they compound, right? Like, because like you said, it's not like they scored directly from that 2-on-1, but then, he makes the play, like you said, to slide or dive and try to knock the puck away. And it actually, like, that happened right in front of us. And it almost went into the fucking net when he did it. But
yeah, he did shoot it on net,
just,
basically.
Yeah. But anywho, like I said, it's just I hate to like get on guys like that, but it's just, like I said, for whatever reason, man, the last handful of weeks, just watching him play, like even going all the way back to that overtime in Long Island, like, I know we're talking about a completely different game now, but there's just little things like that where it's like, what are you thinking? Like, But then again, that's the game, I guess. The team that makes less mistakes is generally the one that's going to win. But
Yep.
that's about it. But I will say, first time I've ever been to a sporting event where a player on the home team was being booed in his own stadium by the away fans. That was pretty incredible. I didn't going into this game, I wasn't really sure what the reception was going to be because, like I said, I've been to the Golden Knights games here when the Leafs have played the last couple of years, and
Yeah.
obviously Toronto fans travel pretty well. But it kind of just made me realize that next week in Toronto is, I don't even think people are going to be able to hear the tribute video, to be completely honest. So
And it should be that way. It should be that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Were you a part of that booing?
Absolutely. There was a family in front of me, and they were all wearing Leafs jerseys, and there was a young kid, and he had a Marner jersey on and a Maple Leafs hat with like the number 16 etched into it. And as soon as his face came up when they were announcing the starting lineups, I don't know if I scared the shit out of him because like I just booed so loud, and he turned around and death stared me, and I was like, "Listen, kid, this is gonna be a lesson in like, being loyal. This is gonna be a hard lesson for you. You're gonna watch your favorite player, obviously here, but one day, once like you can take the fandom out of it for like just supporting one guy, you'll understand why Leaf Nation is pretty cheesed about everything. So
Yeah.
I was definitely a part of the booing. I couldn't not be.
Well, I'm glad to hear about the atmosphere in there, and it is kind of funny because there was a lot of discourse about whether or not he would get booed at home, and I think that the fact that he got booed in his home says enough about it. So, next Friday should be interesting, but kind of funny that took place in Vegas here tonight. Joe, I appreciate you calling. I'm sorry that you had to witness that collapse in person. You got to see... I don't know. What would you say? How many minutes of good hockey from the Leafs tonight? I thought it was... I said originally like 30, 35, and then I think it started to tilt the other way, but I would even give it to them to get through the end of the second period. So maybe I'll give it to like 40 minutes of, hey, that was good stuff from the Maple Leafs, and then it just fell apart.
Yeah, I agree. I think that first 20 was probably one of the best probably one of the best 20 minutes we've put together.
Yeah.
Just they looked really good, but yeah, you know what? It was nonetheless obviously shit result, but exciting game to be at. So,
yep. All right, Joe. Thanks for calling in here tonight. Man. Appreciate it. Hopefully we can bounce back on Saturday.
Let's hope so. Take care.
All right, there you go. Joe Sando. Appreciate the call from Joe. Take care as well, Joe. Thank you for the call. That'll do it for the callers here tonight. It's 2:45 a.m. Eastern time. So with that, it's time to get to our final couple of segments and wrap things up. Let's get to our Crave the Stats segment. Crave the Stats is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling every fan to maximize enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app, from game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Every time the Leafs are playing at home, you can get these exclusive deals in Toronto only on Uber Eats. That's the Firehouse Subs, Bogo Brisket Hatcher, Kibo Sushi, Bogo California Roll, Shelby Shawarma, the Bogo Traditional Wrap. Bogo, of course, is buy one, get one. Before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Our stats of the day, I just want to kind of run down the box scores here in this one. William Nylander is going to end up having one of the crazier stat lines of the entire season. Plays 2 minutes and 17 seconds, has a goal and an assist. And I'm not going to play the what if game or the excuses game or anything like that. The only thing I'm going to say is that it sucks that we lost William Nylander in this game, because right from the jump, this felt like a prime William Nylander game. It felt like one of those nights that William Nylander just decides, I'm winning this thing, I'm taking over. And I think the rest of the team, for
a good amount of this game was set up to be able to support that Nylander game and provide him with waves of attack before him and after him to allow him to continue to have great opportunities to capitalize. I know I'm making comments about this of 2 minutes and 17 seconds of William Nylander, but a goal and an assist in 2 minutes here tonight where he looked hungry in those 2 minutes. He was chasing down pucks. He was making plays. He was just kind of commanding the ice when he was out there, commanding the offensive zone. To lose him as early as you did sucks. And then the other piece of it that is unfortunate is you lose him that early in the game. You now have to play with one less forward, one less guy who can take up 20 minutes in a game, and you don't get a replacement. Like, you don't get to put Calle Jarnkrok thrown into this one to even out a fourth line. You have to have guys rotating through. Everything's kind of broken up for the rest of it. I thought they did a pretty good job, but you definitely feel like William Nylander could have made even more of an impact through 60 minutes in this game, whether it was on the power play, if it was to close it out with an empty net or whatever. Maybe William Nylander could have helped, and it just kind of sucks that you lose William Nylander. It's not a loss because you didn't have Nylander. I want to make that clear. It just sucks that you lost him as early as you did, because the way he was playing screamed Nylander goes off night. And you lost him. Other stats I want to get to. Jake McCabe, -2 in this. I don't think he had a very good night. He struggled over the last week or so. Austin Matthews, -3. He played 23 minutes and 35 seconds. I thought he looked good offensively. I thought he made some really good plays defensively as well, but unfortunately, it's his line who gets caught out there on a couple of the shifts where they get tired, they get running around, they get caught in their D zone. And when you have a guy like Max Domi on the wing with him who's not very good defensively or not very reliable defensively, unfortunately, at times like that in your own zone, you can get caught. And that ends up happening here tonight against Vegas. And it's too bad because I did think he played pretty well, and I think he's been playing really well over the last stretch. So I'm not going to just torch him on this postgame, but that's also another piece of this that sucks. You get caught. He doesn't have a winger on his side who can help him in the D zone. And sometimes it can just collapse on you. And like that Colasar goal comes on a shift where they got caught out there. We make a big deal about Morgan Rielly and the lack of defensive ability or the lack of box out ability. It's his line who's out there for an extended period of time, caught late in a shift, and they get burnt. Again, the overtime goal, Austin Matthews, tired, caught below the offensive goal line, goes the other way. He's late getting back. Jack Eichel right down the middle. He buries. Like, it sucks to see this game and to see him come away -3 when in general I actually did think he played pretty well, and I know a -3 isn't going to support that argument from me tonight, but I did think it was a better game from the team that fell apart late, and I thought Austin Matthews was good and then just fell off when the whole team did in the third period there, especially defensively and energy-wise as well. All right, let's go to our play of the game for the night here, and then we'll get into our grade and wrap this thing up. But let's start with the play of the game. Play of the game, I think, is going to go to... What do I want to give the play of the game to? We'll go play of the game to the Morgan Rielly goal, because I think William Nylander went to work early in the game. You jump out, you took advantage, makes a great play in the offensive zone, wins the puck battle back, drives out to the front, hits Morgan Rielly coming down, buries that one. I think that's my play of the game. Honorable mention will be the power play goal that they ended up scoring that JT took from Matias Maccelli. Kind of a funny play, but
Morgan Rielly made an unbelievable play on the defensive end on that 2-on-1 to break up that pass. We did a lot of shitting on Morgan Rielly tonight, but credit where credit's due. That was an awesome play by Rielly to take that puck off of Mark Stone. The Leafs go up the other way. They don't score on the rush chance, but they get set up in the offensive zone. And then Matthews into Nyes. Nyes draws a defender across. He rips it over to Matias Michelli, who puts it into basically an empty net. It just ends up hitting John Tavares' stick. That'll be an honorable mention. I guess I'll leave it at that. If there's other ones, everyone in the chat seemed, the Lawton goal, yeah, it was a great play in the neutral zone to get back up ice. Good pass through by Lorenz to Nyes, who goes in and makes a great pass across to Lawton. So that'll be an honorable mention as well. With that, let's wrap this up on our grades of the game. Grade of the game for me tonight. I think grade is going to be a C+. The result sucks. Losing sucks. Blowing the lead sucks. But I thought they played pretty well in general. I'll go with a C. I think they played pretty well in general. I think you made some mistakes and some dumb decisions. I think you had some defensive breakdowns. Offensively, you were very good. Early, I thought you had great pace and tempo. Joseph Woll hurts this one. Penalty kill hurts this one. Losing hurts this one. Maybe C is even too high. I think C. I'm a lot higher than people in the chat. I can tell here. There's Fs. There's below Fs. There's people who are coming in with B minuses and C pluses, F minuses. So I'm in a little different spot than some people, but yeah. I'll go with a C. You blew leads and you should have kept them. The thing that I give credit to them for, though, is Vegas would answer and you would answer back. So I know they kept blowing leads, but they never let it get tied. They would let it get close and then they would open it back up again, which I give credit to. It's the end of the game that you need to lock down. Jack pointing out 5-3, you got to lock it down. That's what I agree with, is letting it go from 5-3 to 5-5 twice. You had leads, but you opened them back up. This is tough. You need every point. You need to win. C is my grade. Okay, that's it for me here on the postgame show. Thanks to everybody who tuned in, watched, liked, commented, subscribed, sent super chat. Thank you guys. Appreciate you all. I will be back on Saturday for the game against Winnipeg. I'll do the game preview here, best bets, lineups, all of that and more. And then we'll be back here following the game against the Jets. I'll see if maybe Rosie's around and if he can join us for that one to help us break that all down. We'll take callers in Saturday night's game as well. Long, tiring week for all of us in the chat, for myself here doing the post game, and for the Leafs here, I'm sure, as well. But thanks to everybody who watched. Like on the way out, subscribe on the way out. We'll see you guys on Saturday. Until then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to subscribe here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you